During the training session, the sidelines of the pitch was covered with crowds of students. A lot of students were flocking over the pitch to witness them train. "Just why are there so many kids gathered over there?" Coach Miura complained. "Haha. Maybe it's all because of Hiro. They're probably here to see him play. He's become somewhat like a celebrity." Honda-san chuckled. As Coach Miura and assistant coach Honda were conversing with each other, Hiro was preparing to test out his newfound talent against Endo. While Endo was scanning the goalpost and screaming at the players of Ukami Elementary School to cover up the gap in the wall, Hiro was walking towards the center half of the pitch while holding the ball in his hand. "Is he planning to shoot the ball from the center half?" Coach Miura bewilderingly questioned. "Seems like it, sir," Honda-san answered. Both of them were baffled by his actions. But as Hiro began to step back from the ball, they began to stare at him with eyes full of anticipation. He took few steps back and paused for a while. While keeping his eyes fixated at the ball, he was preparing to launch himself. Sigh, and as he released a deep sigh, he ran towards the ball. The players who acted as a wall, blocking his shoot course, looked at him with eyes filled with terror and nervousness. Endo tried to cover as much gap as possible to stop the ball from entering the net. But before he could even react, the ball went past him. All he could feel was the swoosh sound of the ball as it touched the net. What? The ball flew like a missile shot from a cannon. "Did you see that?" The expression of shock displayed by the students who were standing beside the pitch said everything about that goal scored by Hiro with his newfound talent, free kick of Roberto Carlos. After that match with Karasuno Elementary School, they didn't struggle much against the opponent they faced in quarterfinals and semifinals. At quarterfinal, they defeated Sawamura Elementary School with a score of 4-0. Similarly at semifinals, they defeated Kankoku Elementary School with a score of 3-1 and booked their spot in the finals from first segment. They cleared quarter-final and semi-final of the tournament without breaking much sweat. And in both of those matches, he wasn't even required to use his skill. Thus, he couldn't demonstrate his newfound talent. From second segment, Rondon Elementary School came out as victor after barely defeating their opponent with a single-goal lead in semi-finals and booked their spot for the final. Everybody expected Rondon Elementary School to make it to the final from second segment. However, contrary to their expectation of first segment, Ukami Elementary School came out as a victor instead of Karasuno Elementary School, which was shocking to many people. "So you've made it to the finals of prefectural tournament?" Takashi questioned Hiro while both of them were playfully passing the ball. Hiro silently nodded his head. They were having a father and son moment with each other. Just then Takashi paused. "What's your dream, Hiro?" Takashi questioned. "Why are you asking about that now?" Hiro mumbled awkwardly. And as he playfully took a peek at his father's face, he couldn't speak anything. His father wasn't asking him such questions out of nowhere. "I want to be the best footballer in the planet." Reverberating to the emotions of his father, he bluntly stated that he wanted to be the best footballer in the planet. "I see," Takashi mumbled with a satiated look on his face. As the day of the final was approaching, the players were starting to get nervous. Even with the confident boost from winning against Karasuno Elementary School, they were still having nervous breakdowns because of the final. It was totally natural for those players of Ukami Elementary School to have nervous breakdowns. After all, it was their first major tournament. And moreover, on their first ever major tournament debut, they reached the final after defeating one of the powerhouse football team of their prefecture. "What are you doing over there, Endo-senpai? It's already time to head home." Hiro questioned Endo, who was sitting all by himself beside the goalpost even after the end of the training. "Oh, it's you, Hiro. Nothing much, I'm just enjoying the fresh air. And shouldn't you be heading home? What are you doing over here at this time?" Endo replied while blankly staring at the sky. "No, my mom will be arriving a little late today. So I thought, I might as well shoot some balls." Endo didn't reply anything and continued to stare at the evening sky above his head. After a while, he stood up. "Are you worried about the match against Rondon Elementary School?" Hiro questioned. However, Endo didn't reply anything. Just as Hiro was about to leave, he heard something. "I'll be facing against my brother," Endo whispered. "Huh? You have a brother?" Hiro exclaimed in awe. Nobody in the team knew much about Endo. He was one of those few players in Ukami Elementary School's team who was very secretive about his information. He didn't talk much outside the field and mostly preferred to stay alone. Since he was transferred to Ukami Elementary School the same year as Hiro joined Ukami Elementary School, nobody knew much about him. "Yeah. He studies at Rondon Elementary School and he plays for the Rondon Elementary School's team. If you don't mind me asking about his name, can you tell me his name? Hiro politely asked for the name of Endo's brother. Don't tell anyone about it. His name is Kurosawa Taki. Huh? Kurosawa Taki. How? Hiro's eyes widened in shock. He couldn't believe that Kurosawa Taki was Endo's brother. He was at a loss of words. But your last name doesn't even match with each other? Unable to believe that Kurosawa Taki was his little brother, he bewilderingly questioned him. Yeah. That's because we're not blood related. Endo then began to tell him about the relationship he had with Kurosawa Taki. Taki and Endo were originally orphans who stayed at the same orphanage. Endo was abandoned by his parents before he could even remember, and Taki lost his parents in a car accident. Having been born from an illicit relationship between two young couples, he was abandoned by his parents in front of an orphanage before he could even remember. He spent most of his years at orphanage until someone adopted him. During his time at the orphanage, he met Taki when he was about 6 years of age. Taki was only 2 years old when he was brought at the orphanage by his relatives after the death of his parents in car accident. Even though he had relatives who could take care of him, none of his relatives wanted to take care of him, and thus they decided to send him to the orphanage. That's how Taki ended up at the orphanage. When Taki was 2 years of age and Endo was 6 years old, Endo met him for the first time. Taki was still a young child who hadn't even stopped drinking mother's milk. And the orphanage lacked the required personnel to look after every kid in the orphanage. Having been grown up in the orphanage, Endo used to often help the caretakers with their jobs and take care of the kids even though he himself was a kid. Taki, being one of the youngest in the orphanage, required a lot of attention. The caretakers of the orphanage couldn't attend to him all the time as they would need to take care of other kids as well. At that time, Endo stepped forward to take care of Taki and took care of him like his own younger brother. He fetched him milk, kept him entertained, and even sang lullaby to him. Every time when Taki used to cry, Endo would immediately rush towards the caretaker to inform them about his condition. That's how both of them grew close to each other. That's what Endo believed. For almost 2 years Endo took care of Taki in the orphanage, and suddenly on one faithful day when Taki was about to turn 4 years old, he was adopted by some well-to-do family. And after almost a year of Taki's adoption, Endo was adopted by a middle-class family as well. But after that adoption, Endo never saw Taki again, until he caught a sight of him once again in the squad of Rondon Elementary School during the opening ceremony of the prefectural tournaments. I'm really sorry about that, Endo-senpai. Hiro began to apologize. No, you don't have to be sorry. I'm sure he doesn't even recognize me now, so it's all right. Endo exclaimed while faking his smile. It had almost been 1 year since he last witnessed the sight of Taki. And he wasn't even sure if Taki would even remember him or not. After hearing that shocking revelation from Endo, Hiro was at loss of words, and even though he could feel the suffering of Endo, he couldn't console him. He wondered how a kid of that age was holding so much emotions within him. Even so, he couldn't just sit by and watch him grieve. He needed to do something to cheer him. He then began to make futile attempts to cheer him. I'm sure everything will turn out fine, and aren't you glad that he's doing really well? Hiro exclaimed while trying to console him. I hope so. Endo frowned. Don't worry about it. You'll get to reunite with your brother, and I'm sure everything will turn out fine. Hiro exclaimed with a smile on his face. Endo hesitatingly took a peek at Hiro's face. There was a smile on his face and he could feel that Hiro was genuinely worried about him. Upon seeing the gentle smile on his face, he felt a little better. Yeah, everything will turn out fine, he mumbled and revealed a warm smile. April 2, 2015, Pocari Sweat Stadium, Tokushima, Japan. Crowds of spectators were flocking towards the stadium, and a diverse group of people ranging from kids to elderly people were walking towards the stadium with cheerful smile on their faces. Welcome everyone to the final of this year's prefectural tournament of Tokushima Prefecture. Today we'll be witnessing the face-off of Ukami Elementary School and Rondon Elementary School. It's a match between previous year's winner and a new challenger. For past few years Rondon Elementary School have been dominating the prefectural tournament, and only Karasuno Elementary School have come close to challenging them for the past few years. But will things change now? Ukami Elementary School have built a really strong team which has even managed to defeat the mighty Karasuno Elementary School, and they are eyeing towards the throne of the prefectural tournament. Will we witness a change in the history today? Or will Rondon Elementary School defend their title? Woohoo! While the commentator was commentating, suddenly the crowd burst out in cheers. Players began to walk out from the tunnel. Players of Rondon Elementary School made their appearance dressed in white jerseys. Walking side by side were the players of Ukami Elementary School dressed in black jersey. It was a battle of black and white. It was a battle between the champions and the challengers. Usually only the nationals would be broadcasted in the TV channels, but due to the immense popularity of Hero, the local news channel were stationed in the stadium to broadcast the match live in their channel. There's sure a lot of people in the stand today. Hero mumbled in awe upon witnessing the huge number of spectators in the stand. The final match was being held at Pokari Sweat Stadium, the home of Tokushima Vortis Football Club. Tokushima Vortis Football Club was one of the professional team which played in the J2 of Japanese Football League. Even though it played in the second tier of Japanese League, it had a huge fan following and moreover it contained a large football stadium. While Hiro was searching for his parents in the crowd, he found Akashi acting weird. He was looking at the stadium from the hole of his hands which he shaped like a binoculars. "What are you doing?" Hiro questioned, contorting his face. "Shish. I'm looking for the scouts," Akashi replied while looking at the stands. "Why would there be scouts in a kids' game? Since it's a stadium of a professional team, there might be scouts of the team. Now don't disturb me." Akashi tried to shrug him off. Akashi wasn't totally wrong about his statement. After all, Tokushima Vortis was a professional team which had a youth team, so it wasn't totally off the chart for the scouts of Tokushima Vortis to be present in the stadium. He then looked around him and found his teammates acting weird for some reasons. Kuro, Kuon and Atsuka, the three of them were lying in the ground with their face facing downwards. "What are you all doing?" he bewilderingly questioned. "UWU, the grass is so soft. I can feel the texture of these finely trimmed grass," Kuon expressed himself. For most of them, it was their first time playing in a stadium of professional team. Even for Hiro, it was his first time playing in a professional team's stadium. In his previous life, he never got to play in a professional team's stadium. Just then as Endo made his way towards them with his face contorted in disdain. "What's the matter, Endo-senpai?" Hiro questioned upon witnessing his sad face. "We lost the toss." Endo sighed. "Ha ha ha, you scared us for no reason. And we thought something serious might have happened." The players of Ukami Elementary School burst out in laughter upon listening to Endo's words. "Don't worry about the loss in toss, Endo-senpai. We've got a game to win, right boys?" Hiro raised his voice. "Yeah, let's crush them and win the title, guys." Akashi yelled. "Let's go pack, we've got a game to win." Saying such, all of them walked towards the center half of the pitch to shake the hands of their opponents. After that discussion, their eyes were glowing with confidence. Just as they were shaking the hands of their opponents, Hiro's eyes landed on Taki and Endo. While everybody already finished shaking each other's hands, they were still holding each other's hands. Taki was mumbling something but he couldn't hear him. While they were conversing with each other, Endo looked extremely sad. "Let's go, Hiro." Akashi called out for him. While keeping his gaze fixated at the sight of Endo and Taki, he began to step back. As they began to position themselves, Kuro yelled, "Hurry up, Endo." Endo hurriedly ran towards the goalpost. They were playing in a 4-4-3 formation with Sato and Kuro playing as winger. Hiro was playing a false 9 and there wasn't much change in their squad except the change being Akashi playing as the starting center back instead of Kento. Beep. The referee blew his whistle, commencing the start of the match. Since they had lost the toss, Rondon Elementary School chose to pick the goalpost and they were forced to start the kickoff. Hiro passed the ball back towards Rin. Rondon Elementary School relied on a traditional 4-1-3-2 formation. They had a counter-attacking philosophy and relied more on their defense. Because of their strong defense, they had gained themselves a nickname of Iron Fortress. And although they relied more on their defense, their offense was extremely deadly as well because of their ability to switch between defense and offense. They were a team to be feared. Since they had learned about their playstyle, the players of Ukami Elementary School didn't charge forward recklessly. They tried to break the opponent's formation as much as they could. Just like them, the players of Rondon Elementary School have prepared enough against them as well. They didn't charge in recklessly and approached them calmly without breaking their formation. And once again they had to rely on Hiro's dribbling to break their defense. Hiro began to dribble the ball forward, and just like in the game with Karasuno Elementary School, the defenders of Rondon Elementary School surrounded him instantly. But unlike the defenders of Karasuno Elementary School who charged towards him recklessly, the defenders of Rondon Elementary stayed in their position and kept on observing him, leaving him no space to take the ball forward. TCH, Hiro clicked his tongue and passed the ball backwards. They were fully aware of his dribbling abilities and were wary of him. For almost 15th minute of the game, the ball stayed glued in the feet of the players of Ukami Elementary School. And at the 16th minute of the game, he noticed a space between their defense. Making use of the space, he began to charge the ball forward with the help of Sato and Kuro. With swift 1-2 passes, they broke free through the defense of Rondon Elementary School. With only a defender and a keeper blocking his course, he found himself exactly at the periphery of the penalty zone. Targeting the top left corner of the pitch, he kicked the ball towards the post from outside the box. The ball touched the tip of Taki's gloves and rolled towards the left side. Loose ball. Just as he was about to shout, something confused him. Surprisingly, there was already a defender positioned at the left side of their defensive half. The sight of that defender confused him. That defender quickly played the ball forward and Rondon Elementary School started to counterattack. "Get back! Get back!" he yelled as the defender played the ball forward. Because of the earlier attack, most of their players were in front of the center line. And so were the offensive players of Rondon Elementary School. The two offensive players of Rondon Elementary School didn't participate in the defense even though it was threatening for them. As if they were ordered to stay at the center line no matter the outcome, they didn't drop back to defend even when they were on the verge of conceding a goal. While the players of Ukami Elementary School were falling back, the forwards of Rondon Elementary School began to charge the ball forward. The two forwards on their top were extremely agile. With swift 1-2 passes they tore the defense of Ukami Elementary School like pair of sharp scissor blade cutting through the paper. The fast-paced counterattack intrigued the crowds as they stood up from their seat and watched them tear the defense of Ukami Elementary School. With only Akashi and Endo remaining in the backline, the forwards of Rondon Elementary School were already in front of the penalty box. Akashi tried to maintain his composure as much as he can and didn't charge forward recklessly. What will it be? Will he pass or will he dribble past me or will he shoot? Akashi began to wonder as droplets of sweat began to wail down his sweaty face. Just then he caught a glimpse of the foot of the player with the ball. Thinking that he'd pass the ball, Akashi jumped forward to block his pass course. But contrary to his expectations, the forward faked the pass and dribbled past him. Endo was the only one standing between that forward and the goal. He was their last ray of hope. "Come forward, Endo-senpai," Hiro desperately shouted. But Endo hesitated to come forward and started to panic instead of keeping his cool like he used to do. Since earlier moment, he seemed out of place. As if something was gnawing on him, he seemed different than his usual self. The forward of Rondon Elementary School took full advantage of his hesitation. As he was glued to his post, the forward of Rondon Elementary School had a lot of space to shoot and score. Taking advantage of those spaces, the forward shot the ball and scored a goal against Ukami Elementary School. Goal. Rondon Elementary School have opened up the scoresheet. The champions have once again demonstrated why other teams need to fear them. The crowds burst out in cheers as Rondon Elementary School took the lead against Ukami Elementary School in the 17th minute of the match. "What's the matter with you, Endo-senpai? You're acting weird. You should have been able to make that save." Akashi began to complain. He had full confidence on Endo to prevent the goal. But contrary to his expectations, Endo conceded a goal. He was frozen at his place. It's all right, Akashi," Hiro intoned while pulling back a fuming Akashi. "Let's give our best, Endo-senpai." As he was returning to his position, he whispered. Endo didn't reply anything and continued to remain unresponsive. Beep. The referee blew the whistle, commencing the continuation of the match. As time progressed, the playstyle of the Rondon Elementary School remained the same. However, their attacks started to become even more lethal. The score remained 1-0 for the entirety of the first half, while the keeper of Rondon Elementary School was making unbelievable saves and preventing their goals. Endo, on the other hand, looked out of place. Even after that first goal, there were many instances when they were on the verge of conceding goals. If not for their defense, they might have already conceded more than 3 goals in the first half alone. While exiting the pitch, nobody spoke anything. The tension on the team was evident from the faces of the players. Bam! Unable to control his anger, Akashi banged the locker while they were resting in the locker room, awaiting for coach's guidance. "What's the matter with you, Endo-senpai? If you don't want to play, then just substitute for Mark-senpai. He's more than ready to play. But if you want to play, then play as if your life depends on it." Akashi burst out in fury and began to cuss Endo. Hiro and Kuon tried to hold him back, but he was simply too strong for them to restrain. While Akashi was cussing at Endo, nobody spoke anything. After all, Akashi was stating the fact. Akashi, who grew up in a family of Yakuza, feared nobody. While his father ran a business, his grandfather used to be one of the boss of a local Yakuza gang. Even though his grandfather had retired from his position because of his old age and because of the stricter laws, his Yakuza friends from his younger days still used to hang out with him at his place. Akashi, who got along with his grandfather, often accompanied him at the time of meeting, and whenever those old fogies met each other, they would cheerfully tell their heroic deeds they performed when they were younger. Akashi, who was fascinated by those stories, was extremely influenced by their stories and wanted to become like them. His love for football also started because of his grandfather as well. While those old fogies were Yakuzas who didn't give a damn about life, they would often gather together to bet in football matches. And because of those betting habits, they'd often spectate the match from the stands. And as time progressed, those habits changed into love for football. Kuro-senpai, help! Hiro pleaded while gesturing Kuro to help them restrain Akashi. Even though Akashi was younger compared to Endo, he was much more taller and bulkier than the rest of the players. And his fierce temper was no joke. He'd even punch a 13-year-old in anger. He was an idiot with immense raw strength. Okay, that's all, Akashi. Coach Miura intoned as he made his way towards the locker room. Hearing the voice of the coach, Akashi quieted down and tried to break free from their clutches. Fearing that he might lunge at Endo if left alone, the two of them increased their grip and restrained him even more tightly. Leave me! Akashi rose his voice and tried to shake them off. Leave him! Coach Miura exclaimed. Hearing the words of Coach Miura, both of them let go of him. Upon getting free from their clutches, Akashi walked towards the bench and sat down with a wet towel on top of his face. Okay. Now that everyone's clammed down, I'd like to say something. I know that first half have been tough for you all and it's not going as expected. But I want you all to know that the game has not ended and we still have time to turn around the match. While giving a pep talk, Coach Miura gestured Assistant Coach Honda to bring him the whiteboard. He then began to scribble something on the whiteboard. Look here. The reason why we aren't able to score a goal against them is because they're guiding us to the place where they want us to take the ball. They're manipulating our play by creating fake spaces. The spaces where we cannot score a goal. They're intentionally leading us. Coach Miura briefed them about the flaws. Having said that, he adjourned the meeting, and as the players were leaving towards the pitch with a newfound confidence, he stopped Endo. You know why I'm not pulling you out of the game? Coach Miura mumbled. Endo continued to remain silent. Endo, look me in the eyes, he yelled. Endo hesitatingly lifted his head up to meet his eyes. I'm not pulling you out of the game because I believe in you, Endo. So it's all up to you whether you want to prove me right or wrong. Coach Miura exclaimed while looking him in the eyes. Endo remained speechless, but he was feeling guilty as well. Do you understand, Endo? Endo silently nodded his head. Go and give your best. I thought that the coach would substitute his keeper for making those lethal mistakes, but what's this? He hasn't dropped him out of the team. Is there something going on his head? Is this a part of their strategy? Or is it a plain act of ignorance? Whatever it is, we'll only know after the end of the match. Beep. With the blow of the whistle of referee, the second half of the match commenced in full swing. Neither of the team made any changes and the game continued with the same players from the beginning. With no tactical changes in the second half, Rondon Elementary School continued to play as they did in the first half. Intentionally leaving a gap for the players of Ukami Elementary School to exploit, they continued to mislead them. And as such, at 43rd minute of the game, the ball was with Hiro. As he was dribbling the ball forward, he noticed a gap in the left side of the player in front. Having heard of their tactics, he did as they wanted. He dribbled towards left to the gap they intentionally left open. However, instead of making a shot from the left side, he cut in even more deep and began to dribble the ball towards the post. Unlike Endo, Taki came forward to block his shoot course. Covering a large space, he stood tall in front of him, as if he was trying to intimidate him. He slowed down his pace and approached the post slowly, and just as Hiro was about to make a shot, Taki stretched his arms wide. But the ball went down between his legs while he was focusing on his sides. Goal. At 43rd minute of the game, Hiro tied the score with his incredible goal. All of his teammates ran towards him to celebrate the goal as he scored the goal and tied the game. After scoring the goal, Hiro ran towards the sidelines to celebrate his goal and lifted his left arm forward. He then folded the fingers of his right hand while sticking out his middle finger and index finger. And as he stretched his left hand forward, he lowered his head and positioned the fingers of his right hand at his temple. He announced the supporters his arrival by imitating teleportation gesture of Son Goku. Just then his teammates caught up to him and jumped all over him. The supporters of Ukami Elementary School very much enjoyed his celebration and burst out in praises, while the supporters of Rondon Elementary School were fuming in anger. The players of Rondon Elementary School expressed the same feeling as their supporters. They were furious. Pulling off a comeback in the 43rd minute of the game, the coach of Ukami Elementary School was overjoyed with happiness, and so were the supporters of Ukami Elementary School. While everybody were celebrating Hiro's goal, Endo pitifully observed his teammates from the backline. He couldn't bring himself to celebrate the goal. While they were celebrating his goal, the coach of Rondon Elementary School was preparing to make a player change. Beep. The first substitution of the game has come from Rondon Elementary School. They are substituting one of their midfielder for a defender. The game continued with a score of 1-1. As the match continued after that 43rd minute equalizer from Ukami Elementary School, Rondon Elementary School substituted their midfielder for a defender. Their already stuffed defensive line was even more packed with the addition of a new defender. After that equalizer, the defenders of Rondon Elementary School didn't give them any opportunity to score another goal. They completely shut them down every time they went on the offense. Because of the increase in the number of defenders, they were having difficulties in moving the ball forward. While the two forwards of Rondon Elementary School didn't participate in the defense, they still stayed behind the center line preying on any loose balls, which in turn created another threat for them to pass the ball backwards. The game was neck to neck, with both sides unwilling to change their strategy. As if the coach of Rondon Elementary School had instructed them to stand their grounds until the final whistle of the match, they maintained their positions and cleared every potential ball that could have ended up as a goal. The players of Ukami Elementary School were starting to show signs of frustration and fatigue. Players of Rondon Elementary School were in similar situation as well. They were panting heavily. Every time when they tried to take the ball forward, the defenders of Rondon Elementary School would somehow snatch the ball away from them. But even so, they wouldn't charge the ball forward even after snatching the ball away from them. Instead, they would clear it away. As if their only purpose was to waste time and take the game into penalty shootout, they played very defensively. Just then, at 57th minute of the game, Kosei Otsuka, the defensive midfielder of Ukami Elementary School, made a costly mistake. While he was preparing to pass the ball towards Akashi, he didn't notice the presence of the forward of Rondon Elementary School behind his back. Garo Sato, the forward of Rondon Elementary School, had been eyeing at the ball while hiding in his blind spot. Oh, that doesn't look good. A dangerous mistake from Otsuka has given the opportunity for the players of Rondon Elementary School to steal the victory. Due to lack of power, the ball from Otsuka stopped midway before it could reach Akashi. Garo Sato, one of the forward of the Rondon Elementary School, was already chasing the ball. He had been hiding his presence since earlier while awaiting for Otsuka to make some mistakes. Since Otsuka remained at the center half most of the time and played as a defensive midfielder, he played as a bridge between the defense and offense of the Ukami Elementary School. Arg. Shit. Akashi cussed in frustration as the ball stopped midway before reaching him. He ran towards the ball, but before he could reach the ball, Garo Sato, the forward of Rondon Elementary School, who was already chasing the ball even before it was released from Otsuka, reached the ball. TCHO great. Akashi clicked his tongue as he stopped midway. He then began to analyze his options. Once again, he found himself in the same situation as he did previously. He was in a 1v1 situation with Garo Sato once again. The only difference being the lack of support for Garo this time around. With only Endo behind his back, he couldn't trust him to make the save because of his deteriorating performance. Since the start of the match, Endo was performing very badly. Garo Sato, while dribbling the ball towards him, glared at him. Akashi glared him back but didn't charge forward recklessly. He maintained his position and waited patiently for Garo to make his moves. Having no support, there was only one option available for Garo Sato. He could only dribble the ball forward if he wanted to score. And he did exactly the same. He tried to dribble past Akashi. As he approached closer to Akashi, he kicked the ball forward. He was trying to dribble past him while making use of his explosive pace. Because of his explosive pace, he shook off Akashi easily and left him behind in dust. After dribbling past Akashi, he approached the penalty area, and as he was stretching his legs to shoot the ball, A leg came flying towards him from behind him and swept him on the floor. Beep. The leg belonged to none other than Akashi. Unable to reach him, he performed a sliding tackle at Garo Sato from behind him to prevent him from scoring a goal. That intentional tackle from Akashi prevented Garo from making the shot and also prevented the immediate threat. However, it couldn't prevent him from getting dejected from the game. As Garo Sato fell down tumbling on the ground after getting hit by Akashi's harsh tackle, the referee stopped the play. Everybody could see that the tackle made by Akashi was intentional, and so did the referee. He witnessed his intentional tackle and immediately took a red card out of his pocket. Akashi looked frustrated, but he didn't complain about the decision of referee. He peacefully accepted the referee's decision and began to head out of the field. Sob. Akashi, you. Hiro tried to interact with Akashi. I leave the rest to you guys. Akashi's voice shook as he left the pitch. Even though he tried to hide his tears and act tough, Hiro could notice the tears in his eyes, and so did Endo. He also noticed the tears on Akashi's face. What am I doing? If not for me, he wouldn't have performed that tackle. My poor performance is costing my team the game. Endo comprehended. With that red card, the referee had awarded Rondon Elementary School a penalty. And a penalty at that moment of game would have totally altered the outcome of the game. With only 2 minutes remaining on the clock, that penalty was as crucial for Rondon Elementary School as last drop of water for a survivor in the desert. It's not your fault. You did well. Coach Miura consoled Akashi as he walked outside the pitch. While everybody were questioning about the penalty taker for Rondon Elementary School, Garo Sato stood up and began to walk towards the ball. Garo Sato hadn't sustained any serious injury from that tackle. So it'll still be him, Hiro mumbled. While everybody positioned themselves behind the penalty box, the referee blew the whistle. Garo stared at the ball placed in front of him and started to make his run. With slow and steady steps, he made his run towards the ball as if he was trying to intimidate the keeper in front of him. Endo, who was determined to correct his mistakes, looked very focused. Peeking at Endo's eyes, Hiro felt something different about him. He then signaled Kuon to run towards the post as soon as Garo made his shot. Just when Garo began to make his run, Hiro started to run forward. One of the defender of Rondon Elementary School caught a sight of Hiro making the run and began to fall back as well. Garo slammed the ball straight in the bottom left corner of the post. Endo leapt towards the direction of the ball and barely managed to touch the ball. Endo made a brilliant save and stopped Garo's penalty. As the ball touched his gloves, it bounced forward. The players of Rondon Elementary School began to chase after the ball. But it was Kuon who reached the ball before anyone else could. Just as gestured by Hiro, he had begun to run towards the post the moment Garo made his run. And luckily the ball bounced towards him as well. Go Hiro! He yelled as he shot the ball towards Hiro, who was already running forward. Kuon sent the ball flying towards Hiro. Since all the players of Rondon Elementary School except the keeper were gathered for the penalty kick at the defensive half of Ukami Elementary School, there was nobody present in the back line of Rondon Elementary School except the keeper. As Hiro was making his run, the ball flew past him over his head. It landed exactly at the kickoff spot and bounced a little further towards the edge of the circle. He was the first one to reach the ball. Seeing no one in front of his sight, he began to dribble the ball forward. Kurosawa Taki, the keeper of Rondon Elementary School, came out of his box to defend against him. Huff. Huff. Hiro began to pant heavily. Because of the intensity of the game, he had exhausted himself from running all over the field. There's a chance for Ukami Elementary School as Hiro has taken control of the ball. Between him and the goal, only the keeper stands in front of him. However, he seems extremely exhausted. He had been running a lot in this match. In fact, nobody has covered as much distance as he did in this entire match. No wonder he looks exhausted. Will he be able to last until the end? Or will he burn out himself and collapse? As he tried to dribble the ball forward, he felt excruciating pain in his legs. His leg muscles started to convulse. And every step he took felt like walking on a path full of thorns. It was clear, he was exhausted. System activate skill perseverance, Hiro mumbled. Perseverance activated. For 15 minutes, unlimited stamina has been granted to the host and the effect of exhaustion will be negated for the entirety of the activation of the skill. Just as the system activated the skill perseverance, all his fatigue started to fade away. He felt rejuvenated and he began to overflow with vitality. The tired muscle fibers in his body started to recover and the soreness he felt in his joints faded away. As if he was put under anesthesia, his body became numb to exhaustion. It's my first time activating this skill, but the effect is on another level. I don't feel any fatigue and it feels like I can run another 15 to 20 miles. He thought inside his head. However, during the time he was comprehending the effects of the skill, the defender of Rondon Elementary School had caught up to him. He was just behind his heels. Noticing Suzuki Atsumi, the defender of Rondon Elementary School who was tailing him, approaching him from behind him, he increased his pace and tried to distance himself from him. He thought of kicking the ball forward and chasing after it, but the keeper of Rondon Elementary School was already coming out of his box and kicking the ball too hard would have meant trouble for him as the keeper would have cleared it away. He couldn't make full use of his pace with the ball in his feet. Dribbling with the ball meant giving up part of his speed. He kicked the ball with just enough force that he could reach it before anyone else could. Just as he kicked the ball with the precise amount of force for him to reach the ball and was preparing to make a run, Suzuki Atsumi, the defender of Rondon Elementary School, performed a sliding tackle on him. He didn't even conceal his intention to foul him. Even after the ball was released from his legs, Suzuki Atsumi still performed a sliding tackle on him from behind him. He wasn't even aiming at the ball and he was clearly aiming at his feet. Upon getting hit, Hiro fell down tumbling on the ground. Beep. That was a nasty tackle from the number 3 of Rondon Elementary School. He was clearly aiming at his feet. Now show me how you'll run. Atsumi scorned while Hiro was lying on the ground holding his ankle, huffing in pain. Kuro came running towards him and pushed Atsumi. Atsumi was sent flying as he landed on his butt a few distance away from his original place. Other players followed soon and a fight broke out between the players of Ukami Elementary School and Rondon Elementary School. The field became extremely chaotic within seconds. Security personnel fled towards the stadium to stop those kids from rioting. Just few minutes before the final whistle, the match between Ukami Elementary School and Rondon Elementary School took a chaotic turn. Never have I ever seen such a heated match between kids. The players are pushing each other and even the security personnel are forced to intervene. It took a while to separate all those players. Since a lot of players were involved in the riot, referee was forced to bring out his cards on multiple players. He gave Kuro a yellow card for his offense on Atsumi. He showed a yellow card on Taki, who was the second person to arrive at the place where Atsumi fouled Hiro after Kuro. A total of 5 yellow cards were shown to different players from both sides. 2 for Ukami Elementary School players and 3 for Rondon Elementary School players. And finally the man who was involved directly in the foul, Suzuki Atsumi. He was shown a straight red card and was dejected from the match. A free kick was rewarded to Ukami Elementary School at the spot where the foul was committed on Hiro, a certain distance away from the circle. Since the free kick was awarded at a distance pretty far away from the goalpost, nobody expected Ukami Elementary School to score the goal. However, the expression on the faces of players of Ukami Elementary School said otherwise. They knew what Hiro was capable of. And since nobody except them had witnessed his free kicks, they were the only ones who believed in that set play. After separating both sides and handing out cards to the respective players who were involved in the riot, the referee sprayed the vanishing spray at the spot where the foul was committed. After that nasty tackle, a free kick has been awarded to Ukami Elementary School. The distance between the goal and the ball is quite far away, so I doubt anybody in their right mind would try to make a shot from that distance. They'll probably pass the ball towards the players standing at the penalty box. I wonder who'll be taking this free kick from Ukami Elementary School. I haven't seen them perform any free kick in this whole tournament. As the commentator finished his statement, Hiro walked towards the place where the referee had marked with his vanishing spray. He placed the ball at the marked spot and adjusted the ball while looking at the post in front of him. 4 players of Rondon Elementary School formed a massive wall in front of him while the others were behind the wall, marking the players of Ukami Elementary School. Almost every player of Ukami Elementary School stood in front of the goalpost awaiting for the ball. Hiro took about 7 steps back and paused. As he paused, he stood straight in front of the ball, glaring at the keeper of Rondon Elementary School. System activate skill focuses. System activate talent free kick of Roberto Carlos. He activated every skill he possessed. He didn't want to make any mistakes. That free kick was probably the last set piece of the game. With all his skills activated, he entered the flow. The effect of Roberto Carlos's free kick magnified with the activation of the skill focus. He could see the point in the ball where he could kick the ball to magnify its power and curve. Beep. As the referee blew his whistle, he took a final glance at the ball and began to run towards the ball. Everybody looked at him with anticipation. Unknowingly, the spectators in the stands stood up to watch him perform the shot. The whole stadium went silent as he made his run towards the ball. Step. Step. Bam. He stretched his right leg while bending at an angle of 45 degrees and shot the ball with as much force as he can. The ball flew like a missile towards the post. At first, it seemed like it would go wide. However, due to spin on the ball, it curved inside towards the post as it accelerated. Unlike Endo, Taki was able to react to his shot. Taki leapt towards the direction of the ball while stretching his arms. As he stretched his arms, it grazed the tip of his fingers. Goal. Thud. As his body slammed on the ground, he felt a faint sensation of the ball. But even though he touched the ball with the tip of his fingers, he couldn't save the ball. It was simply too powerful for him to block with his fingers. The ball went past him and effortlessly entered the net. The silent crowd burst out in cheers as he scored that unbelievable goal from such a distance. Woohoo! Yeah, with that goal from Hiro, the game was as good as over. There was simply no turning back at that point of the game. With only a minute left on the clock, Ukami Elementary School had secured their victory with that powerful goal from Hiro. As he scored that goal, Hiro ran towards the stands where the supporters of Ukami Elementary School were seated and celebrated his goal while raising his fist up in the sky and yelling at the top of his voice, "Woo! Yeah! Woo!" The crowd resonated to his victory chant and parroted after him. The whole atmosphere of the stadium lit up as he scored that goal. The game had completely changed after that goal. What are you people doing? Only if you people have jumped, that goal could have been prevented. Just what the hell were you thinking? Standing in front of the ball like a mannequin? You're the walls that's supposed to block the ball. The calm and composed goalkeeper of Rondon Elementary School, who was quiet during whole match, burst out in fury and lashed out at his teammates for failing to block the ball. His face turned as red as tomato in anger. There was still a minute left before the final whistle of the match. With a minute and additional time remaining, the outcome of the game had yet to be decided. Finally, Ukami Elementary School have decided to use their substitution cards. It seems like they'll be subbing 3 players at once. And all 3 of them happen to be offensive players. They're subbing their forward and midfielders for defenders. After they finished celebrating their goal, the game commenced with the whistle of the referee. They subbed Kurosaki Kuro and Sohei Sato, the wingers of the Ukami Elementary School, for Yamazaki Kento and Daichi Kamada. And finally they subbed Asahi Kuon, the central midfielder of Ukami Elementary School, for Ryusuke Ron, who played as a defensive midfielder. As the substituted players made their way towards the pitch, they parroted the instructions of the coach Miura to rest of the players. With those substitutions, they started to play in a formation of 6-3-1 with Hiro as the sole striker. They fortified their defense and were determined to defend their 1-goal lead for the remaining minutes of the game. It was a do-or-die situation for Rondon Elementary School, and they could no longer play defensively. Even though their team was packed with defensive players, the coach of Rondon Elementary School didn't substitute any players. He let the players in the field complete the match. The players of Rondon Elementary School pressed high and showered them with barrage of shots. They didn't give them any moment to rest. But after saving the previous penalty, something had changed in Endo. He put his life on the line and blocked every shot that made its way towards the post. The referee kept on looking at his watch, and as the final minute of the game ended, he added 4 minutes extra. Witnessing their aggressive pressing gameplay, Hiro was forced to drop deep. Garo Sato, the forward of Rondon Elementary School, became even more lethal as the clock ticked. At 63rd minute of the game, with only few seconds remaining, he took the matter in his hands and began to dribble the ball all by himself. While dribbling forward with the ball, he encountered Ron on his way. Ron blocked his course with his massive body. Ron was a bit overweight and had a massive body. Garo performed a chop and dribble past him. Kento and Kamada followed after Ron. To cover for Ron's mistake, both of them surrounded Garo. However, they proved to be inferior against him. Garo performed 2 chops simultaneously with his both feet. He performed a chop with his right feet and dribbled past Kento. He then again performed another chop with his left foot and dribbled past Kamada. After breaking free from 3 players at once, he found himself in front of the D-box. Upon seeing Garo closing the distance towards the post, Endo started to rush forward. Upon seeing Endo coming forward and having no one on his support, he was left with only 2 options. Either he'd have to shoot or he'd have to dribble past Endo. If it were under any normal circumstances, he'd have picked the later option, but because of the pressure, he chose the first option. While he was stretching his right leg to shoot the ball, The referee glanced at his watch and was preparing to blow the whistle to announce the end of the game. "Come on, Garo. You can do it," the supporters of Rondon Elementary School chanted while looking at him with eyes full of expectation. He was their last ray of hope. As Endo was covering the entire floor, Garo decided to shoot the ball at the top corner because of short stature of Endo. He released the ball from his feet. With slight rotation in the ball, it curved towards top right corner of the goalpost. Endo jumped with as much force as he could muster and dived towards the ball while stretching his arms out. Even with his arms sticking out, he fell short because of his height. He couldn't reach the ball. The ball went past him. Slam! The ball hit the top right bar and went out of play. Beep! 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 The referee blew his whistle and ended the game. Woohoo! Hooray! Yahoo! The supporters of Ukami Elementary School burst out in cheers as the referee blew the final whistle of the game. Ukami Elementary School won the prefectural tournament by defeating the reigning champion, Rondon Elementary School, in the final with a score of 2-1 and booked themselves a spot in the regional tournaments. As the referee blew his whistle, the players of Rondon Elementary School threw themselves in the ground in a state of disappointment and exhaustion. Pain of losing the game overshadowed the pain they accumulated through fatigue. Players from the bench of Ukami Elementary School burst out in the field as their team won the prefectural tournament. Truly unbelievable. The challengers have come out victorious and have dethroned the previous champion of the Tokushima Prefecture. The team of Rondon Elementary School showed us a brilliant performance. However, they still failed to win the match. They came totally prepared, but Soccer Wizard was too much for them to handle. That winning goal from him was totally a piece of art which we may not witness from anyone else in the tournament. The game between the two teams concluded with the victory of Ukami Elementary School, and as they lined up for a last handshake, his gaze once again fell towards Endo and Taki. "I guess you have really forgotten about me, but it's all right now. I'm glad that you are doing fine," Endo exclaimed calmly while showcasing a gentle smile on his face. Previously, when they spoke with each other, Taki had denied the allegations of having met him. When Endo mentioned he was his little brother, Taki blatantly refused the allegations of having any kind of ties with him. That statement alone had broken Endo's heart into pieces. Taki continued to stare at him while holding his hands. Unable to hear any response from him, Endo began to walk away. And just as he was about to leave his sight, he heard something. "Big brother Endo from Children's Cottage Orphanage. You still remember me? You haven't forgotten about me?" Endo turned back and gawked in disbelief. His brows raised in surprised arc. He was stunned to hear the name of the orphanage. "Why are you pretending like you've forgotten about me?" "I'm not pretending. I just want to forget about everything from that time at the orphanage. Although I'm grateful for the orphanage and you, I want to live a normal life away from the orphanage. I don't want to remember anything related to the orphanage. And moreover, I don't want to remember that I'm orphan," Taki intoned while looking at him with pained eyes. As if he was suffering from the fact that he was an orphan, he desperately wanted to erase his past. After his adoption, he had managed to successfully erase his past after cutting his ties with the orphanage. However, the appearance of Endo once again reopened his closed wounds. And thus he pretended to be unaware of Endo when Endo tried to converse with him. Even though Endo wanted to maintain his relationship with Taki, he decided to accept his feelings and bid him farewell. After hearing his inner feelings, Endo accepted his feelings and raised his hands towards Taki to offer him one last handshake. "I understand your feelings. I'm just glad that you are doing well. And I guess it might be our last meeting as brothers with each other. So will you allow me to address you as little brother for one last time?" Taki nodded his head and took his hands. "Please take care of yourself and shine brilliantly, my little brother. I'll always be praying for your success," Endo exclaimed softly with a gentle smile on his face. And as he was about to depart, he pulled him closer and hugged him. Taki's heart was filled with the warmth of Endo's genuine smile. However, he couldn't express his feelings and remained frozen at his place. With a heavy heart, Taki observed Endo leaving his sight and vanishing into the crowd of players who were celebrating their victory. After sorting things out with Taki, Endo walked towards his teammates who were jumping and humming in joy with a smile on his face. "Did you sort things out with him?" Hiro approached him and questioned him upon witnessing his smiling face. "Yeah, we had a peaceful conversation with each other," Endo smirked. "I'm glad you sorted things between yourselves. Now let's join the party." Hiro didn't want to pry more on his personal information and thus he ended his sentence without saying much. "What are you two doing over there? Hurry up. The award ceremony is about to begin." Honda-san, who was celebrating the victory with the players, called out for them. Championes, championes, his teammates were gathered in a circle and celebrating their victory over Rondon Elementary School. Congratulations Ukami Elementary School for becoming the champion of Tokushima Prefecture, and with this match the prefectural tournament has come to an end. With this victory they have booked themselves a spot in the regional tournaments which will be held a week from today. They'll be up against the winner of Kagawa, Ehime and Kochi prefectures. Now let us honor our champions. For that I'd like to request Mayor Yamada to come up to the stage. Suddenly an obese old man with a silver-arched mustache on his face, dressed in a black suit and leather shoes, made his way towards the pitch from the tunnel. He was the mayor of Tokushima Prefecture. As he made his way towards the pitch, the crowd burst out in cheers. While making his way towards the players, he waved his hands at the spectators. I'd also like to call the owner of Tokushima Vortis to help Mayor Yamada with the prize distribution. Another elderly person dressed in a navy blue suit with silver hair made his way towards the pitch. Seeing those two men, the crowds burst out in cheers. They were extremely excited to see the appearance of two famous personalities of Tokushima in the pitch. Those two men exchanged handshakes with each other and greeted each other. After that they exchanged greetings with the coaches of the two teams. Congratulations Coach Miura. I must say you've gathered quite an impressive team. The owner of Tokushima Vortis complimented Coach Miura while shaking his hands. There was a hidden meaning behind his compliments. And Coach Miura quickly understood the meaning behind those praises. Indeed, they're a bunch of talented kids that could play for Tokushima Vortis in the future. Coach Miura cheerfully accepted his compliments. If so, I'll be holding on to your words, Coach Miura. Ha 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 ha. The owner of Tokushima Vortis laughed heartily. After exchanging greetings with the respective coaches of two teams, two young ladies who looked like they were still in their early 20s walked towards the field dressed in maroon blazer and skirt. With some light makeup in their faces, they were dolled up. Each carrying a box and a flag in their hands, they walked towards the center of the pitch, where the two famous personalities were gathered. As those ladies were walking towards the center of the pitch, Hiro heard a voice from behind him. Would you look at those Onekans, big sisters? They're really pretty. Akashi smirked while looking at those young ladies. Huh? Where did you learn those words? You shouldn't be saying those stuff at your age? Hiro exasperated. And where were you hiding all this time? Oh, I was at the locker room. I had to fetch something. Akashi dumbfoundedly replied. Weren't you pissed like a moment ago? So how come you're all smiles right now? Hiro intoned. And also, what did you fetch from the locker room? This. Akashi pulled out a black-colored banner from behind his back. He had tucked the banner inside his t-shirt. What's this? The banner confused Hiro. He then curiously took a peek at the banner. It was black-colored banner with a figure of Oni, Japanese mythological demon, drawn in the middle. There were some words written above and below the Oni. The words read as such, Fearless Oni Gang. What? Akashi, what's this? Hiro exasperated. It's a banner, Akashi replied dumbfoundedly. I can see that it's a banner, but why are bringing a gang's banner in the field? It's my grandfather's gang's banner, so I'm displaying it while we take photos. Ha ha ha. Akashi replied goofily. No, you can't bring this out. The tournament forbids players to display any kind of banners that doesn't belong to the school. Huh, I can't bring it with me. Yes you can't, so go put it away, Hiro exclaimed. Akashi frowned upon listening to Hiro's words. He contorted his face and started to walk towards the sidelines. Witnessing his sad face, Hiro felt sorry for him. You can take it out later when you'll get a chance to click photo with your grandpa. I'll help you take the pictures, Hiro mumbled. You'll do that for me? Thank you, Hiro. Akashi's mood lightened up as he heard the consoling words of Hiro. The players of Rondon Elementary School started to exit the stadium with empty hands and bitter face. Only the champions of the tournament were awarded with the honor plaque and honor flag. No medals or trophies were distributed for individual players. Since there were a lot of prefectures in Japan, the Japanese Football Association only provided the winning team with the honor plaque and honor flag to reward them for their triumph. Individual players weren't awarded with anything for their achievements. Trophies, medals and certificates were only distributed for the national tournament. Now I'd like to call the coach and captain of Ukami Elementary School in front to receive the honor plaque from Mayor Yamada. At the center of the pitch, Mayor Yamada along with the owner of Tokushima Vortis and two other young ladies were gathered. It was a customary tradition for the winner to receive the honor plaque from the hands of the mayor of the respective city. Go captain. Let's go coach. And as Coach Miura and Endo made his way towards the center of the pitch where the award was distributed, everybody started to cheer them. The reporters who were at the stadium broadcasting the match rushed towards the center of the pitch to take a better view of the award ceremony. Mayor Yamada unboxed the box which contained the honor plaque and handed it to Coach Miura. Owner Nakamura-san handed the honor flag to Endo. The honor flag was something that was provided to the school who had won the prefectural tournament. And unlike honor plaque, that flag was passed like a baton. Only the winners would get to hold it for the rest of the year. And if they wanted to hold on to it, they'd have to again win the prefectural tournament. And that particular honor flag belonged to Rondon Elementary School the year before. It was a symbol of pride. Even though every player in the Ukami Elementary School performed exceptionally, there was one player who stood out among the rest. Scoring a whopping 14 goals in the tournament, he was the highest scorer in the tournament. And even though he didn't get anything as a reward for his achievement because of the tournament protocol, I'd like everybody in the stand to wake up from their seats and give him a standing ovation. That's the least we can do to show respect to such an unbelievable talent. The commentator requested the crowds to give him a standing ovation for his achievement, and as he finished his sentence, everybody in the crowd stood up. Sniff. Sniff. Somewhere in the crowd, a person was seen crying. With eyes full of tears, she held her mouth to cover her sniffing voice. All this people are standing for my little boy. Honey. Am I dreaming? Sniff. Sniff. Hiro's mother questioned Takashi with eyes full of tears. She couldn't hold back her tears upon seeing so many strangers showing respect to her son. Even though Takashi was on the verge of crying himself, he held his tears and acted tough. With his chest puffed, he proudly replied, "No honey, it's not a dream. Our son have earned this respect through his actions and hard work." Witnessing such a massive crowd cheering and showing respect to her son, she got emotional and began to weep. It was his first time getting such an ethereal treatment. In his previous life, he was considered a failure. Let alone receiving a standing ovation, aside from the people close to him, he didn't even have a single fan who supported him. Witnessing such a large crowd giving him standing ovation, tears started to form in his eyes. The scene in front made him emotional. "Why are you crying?" Akashi inquired upon seeing his eyes full of tears. He gently wiped of the tears from his face and replied, "I'm not crying, it's just I got dirt in my eyes." He tried to hide his tears. Yeah, it must be dirt." Akashi smirked. April 9, 2019, Ajinomoto Stadium, Chofu, Tokyo. The final match between Ukami Elementary School and Tokyo Elementary School was about to take place in front of a packed stadium. It was a bright and sunny day. The sun was shining brilliantly in the clear blue sky. With few white clouds drifting across the clear blue sky, the average temperature of the day recorded a whopping 33 degrees Celsius. While making his way out of the tunnel, he raised his hands over his temple to shade his eyes from the bright rays of sun and casted a glance at the roaring spectators in the stand. Even in that hot weather, people were shouting and cheering at the top of their lungs. Sweat dripping through their faces were all red. People cheering, drums rolling, the atmosphere around the stadium was extremely lively. Different people exhibiting different kinds of emotions, the crowd looked extremely energetic. Mesmerized by the energetic crowd in front of him, he stood frozen in his place. He couldn't take his gaze away from the crowd in front of him. Slam! Finally here, right? Akashi came from behind him and playfully smacked him on his back. Indeed, we're finally here. Hiro exclaimed while keeping his gaze fixated at the spectators in front. Even though he never got to participate in the nationals in his previous life, he had always had that dream of playing in the final of nationals once in his life. Unfortunately, he could never fulfill that dream in his previous life. Let alone play in the finals of nationals, his team couldn't even qualify for national in his previous life. But since the finals of nationals were broadcasted nationwide, he used to watch the finals on television. And those energetic chants from the crowds and the emotion-packed dramatic game always mesmerized him in his previous life. I have been dreaming of this moment for so long, and that dream has finally come true. Hiro muttered in a muffled voice with a smile on his face. Huh? What did you say? Unable to hear his words clearly, Akashi bewildering inquired. Smack. Nothing. I said we should win this tournament this year, and to do that we need to hurry up to the stage first. The last person to reach the circle is the cousin of Monkey. Ha ha ha. Hiro returned back the earlier smack and ran towards the pitch. Akashi chased after him. After failing 4 times previously, his dream of playing in the nationals was starting to fade away. As depressing as those failures seemed, he didn't lose hope and persevered through the situation. Finally, after persevering through those painful defeats, he made it to the finals of the nationals in his 5th attempt. The match was taking place in the home ground of FC Tokyo, one of the teams belonging to the first division of Japanese professional leagues. Tokyo Elementary School, being situated in Tokyo, often played practice matches with the youth team of FC Tokyo, and thus Ajinomoto Stadium was like their second home ground. Even though the venue of the final match of nationals were chosen at random, somehow Tokyo Elementary School had gotten lucky that time around. Having an unfair advantage of playing in their own home ground, there were a lot of supporters of Tokyo Elementary School in the stands. An estimated number of 20,000 spectators had showed up for the match between Ukami Elementary School and Tokyo Elementary School. One of the reasons behind the huge crowd was because of the appearance of a famous personality in the crowd. Ukami Elementary School, being the winner from the Shikoku region, and Tokyo Elementary School, being the winner from Kanto region, were facing against each other in the final of the tournament after defeating several other regional winners in the nationals. Hiro and Akashi were already in their 5th year of elementary school at that time around, and many of their senior players from the time when they were first years were already in middle school and high schools. Players like Endo, Kuro, Sato, Kuon and many others had already graduated elementary schools. Most of them were still playing football in middle school and high school teams, while few had given up on their dreams of becoming pro. It was totally reasonable for them to give up. After all, that was a dream they dreamt while they were kids. After defeating Rondon Elementary School in their first year, they went on to play regional tournaments and came out victorious from their region. They then participated in the national tournament as a representative team from Shikoku region. Unfortunately, their stay in nationals remained very short as they were knocked out in the very first round of nationals by Tokyo Elementary School. The same Tokyo Elementary School they were facing in their 5th year. They not only eliminated them, but they also humiliated them by winning the game with a score of 4-1. In their 2nd year, they again managed to defeat the teams in their prefecture and came out victorious from Tokushima Prefecture. However, in the regionals that year, a team from Ehime Prefecture managed to secure a narrow victory over them with a score of 2-1. The game was tied until the last minute, and just before the final whistle of the referee, a boy named Sora with curly hair and short stature managed to secure victory for his teams. He broke the dreadlock between the two teams by assisting a brilliant goal from the defensive half of their team towards the forward at the opponent's half. In their 3rd year, Karasuno Elementary School humbled them with a score of 3-0 in the finals of the prefectural tournament and sent them home empty-handed. Even though they were reaching the finals of the prefectural tournament consistently, they faced a major problem. They were lacking players with winning mentality. The new players which joined their team performed really well in group stages and knockouts. But almost in every big matches, they'd start to get anxious and end up ghosting the game. It's not like that they lacked talented players. It was more like they lacked the players with confidence. And even though Hiro carried his team on his back and performed exceptionally well in all those previously held tournaments, he couldn't lead his team to the ultimate victory all by himself. There was only so much he could do all by himself. The 4th year was no different as well. They were sent home by a team from Osaka in the semi-finals of the nationals. During those 4 years, he scored more than 80 goals in the tournament, more than anyone had ever managed to achieve. Posting videos on YouTube once or twice a month, he garnered a massive fan following of 989k subscribers and earned a decent revenue to support his parents. His fame only continued to rise as he performed well in those tournaments. Some people in Japan even started to compare him with the likes of Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar, Cesc Fabregas and other generational talent. But while he was growing in Japan, another brilliant individual was also showcasing his talent in the Japanese First Division League. Joining the famed youth development facility of the world, La Masia, at the age of 10, he had impressed the people of the world. Due to legal issues regarding his transfer, he had to return back to Japan in 2015. The same year, Hiro's team won the prefectural and regional tournament and qualified for the nationals. At the age of 15, he was already playing senior-level football in Japan. Many considered him the real jewel of Japanese football. Despite being younger than him, Hiro was often compared with that generational talent of Japan who was showcasing his skill in J1 League. The Wonder Kid of Japan, also known as the Japanese Messi, Takekubo, was impressing the people with his skillful dribble and gameplay. While the referee was preparing to start the match, Akashi came over to his side to whisper something in his ear. "I heard that Takekubo is here in the stadium," Akashi whispered. So what if he's here? Hiro shrugged him off. Even though he pretended like he didn't care about the presence of Kubo from outside, his inner voice said otherwise. The generational talent of our nation is here to see us play, he thought to himself. Just like the people of Japan, he also admired Kubo in his previous life. Kubo was only 8 years older than him, but unlike him he had already performed in Europe. I wonder what he's doing here. He'll probably go on a loan to Yokohama F. Marinos in August. He's probably here right now because he plays for FC Tokyo right now, he thought to himself. Is he feeling threatened about his title? Akashi chuckled. Why would he feel threatened? Hiro replied dumbfoundedly. Obviously because of our soccer wizard, ha ha ha. Yeah. Now go back to your position, and don't blabber much. Watch over Ken, he's a little slow. Hiro instructed Akashi while pointing at the keeper of their team. What about Sasaki and Gen? Akashi questioned. There's no problem with Sasaki. However, I'm worried about General even though he's not selfish anymore. But under pressure he starts to get anxious and his old habit starts to take hold of him. So I'm a little worried about him. Hiro exclaimed his worries. Ken, Sasaki and Gen, who were with them at the senior versus newbies match, had made it into the first team after the departure of several senior players. While they were conversing with each other, the referee commanded them to assume their positions so that he could start the match. Let's just play like we practiced. Hiro mumbled as the referee commanded them to assume their positions. Yeah, let's play like we practiced. Akashi nodded his head and started to run towards his position. Before I go, there's something I want to tell you. He stopped midway and returned back towards him. Wondering what he wanted to tell, that sentence of Akashi made him curious. As Akashi approached closer towards him, he looked him in the eyes and smiled. Let's win this game, partner. Hiro nodded his head and raised his fist forward. Yeah, let's win. As they clashed their fist with each other and performed a fist bomb, Akashi fled towards his position. Hiro stood tall in front of the ball. He was already 4 feet 7 inches tall at the age of 10. With a sturdy lean body like that of Sergio Busquets, his body was well toned. Neither too bulky nor too skinny, he was dressed in the iconic black jersey of Ukami Elementary School with a captain armband tied around his left biceps. After the departure of Endo from the team, he had been appointed as the captain of the team by the coach of Ukami Elementary School. Beep. The referee blew the whistle and commenced the start of the match. Ukami Elementary School were playing in their traditional 4-4-2 diamond formation with Hiro as their attacking midfielder. They had opted for a balanced formation with emphasis on both defense and offense. On the other hand, Tokyo Elementary School were playing in an extremely offensive formation. They were playing in 3-4-3 formation. With 3 attackers and 4 midfielders, everybody could guess that they were going to play an offensive game. Hiro kicked the ball towards Sasaki, the 5th-year defensive midfielder of Ukami Elementary School. The opponent players of Tokyo Elementary School, dressed in red and white jerseys, began to scatter as the match commenced. Since they had already faced against them previously, they focused on stabilizing their position rather than pressing aggressively from the get-go. Thus they began to pass the ball among themselves. Even though Tokyo Elementary School played a very pressing game from the get-go, most of the time they ended up losing the control of the ball at the middle third of the pitch. While keeping the distance between them fairly close, the players of Ukami Elementary School stuck together in certain geometric patterns. Since Tokyo Elementary School relied more on their physicality rather than technicalities, the forwards of Tokyo Elementary School always tried to break free from the clutches of Ukami Elementary School by making use of their strength and agility. Every time when the opposing player of Tokyo Elementary School got the ball at the middle third of the pitch, the players of Ukami Elementary School immediately surrounded that player, leaving him no place to escape. While maintaining a certain distance away from each other, they kept pressuring the opposing player with the ball every time when an opponent player got the ball in the middle third of the pitch. In order to prevent making costly mistakes, only their forward chased after the ball in the defensive third of the opponent. At 27th minute of the match, Kaminari Shinji, the left wing of Tokyo Elementary School, got the ball in his feet at the left side of the half-line. Nanahoshi Ren, one of the newly recruited central midfielder of Ukami Elementary, chased after Kaminari Shinji as soon as he got the ball in his feet. Kaminari Shinji tried to make use of his agility to break free from Nanahoshi Ren. But Nanahoshi Ren didn't give him any opportunity to shake him off. Unable to shake him off via his agility, he thought of making use of his strength and tried to break free from Nanahoshi Ren by pushing him aside. But Nanahoshi Ren stood his ground and endured his shoulder pushes without breaking any sweat. Arg! Why can't I budge him? Kaminari Shinji exasperated while trying to push Nanahoshi Ren. Despite his lean body, Nanahoshi Ren was as sturdy as mountain. The secret behind his sturdiness wasn't some kind of supernatural power, instead it all lied in his technique. Whenever Kaminari Shinji tried to push him, he'd intentionally increase the distance between his feet and push him before Shinji could come at him with full force. Both players equally matched in terms of speed and physicality. Kaminari Shinji couldn't shake off the mark of Nanahoshi Ren. Unable to shake him off, Kaminari Shinji started to look for other options to break free from the marking of Nanahoshi Ren. He looked at Mizuhara Aoi, the center forward of Tokyo Elementary School. But he was being marked by Sasaki, the defensive midfielder of Ukami Elementary School. He then again glanced behind him to see if anyone was available, but Hiro was already marking the player behind him. He then looked at his right side in hopes of finding one player free from the tight man marking of Ukami Elementary School. Sato Rin, another central midfielder of Ukami Elementary School, was already occupying the space in the center of the pitch. He found himself secluded between four players of Ukami Elementary School. Sasaki in the front, Hiro in the back, Rin in the side and Ren in front of him. He was inside the triangular space created by the players of Ukami Elementary School. The more he tried to break free, the more he found himself trapped. Unable to break free, he started to get anxious. He then started to dribble the ball forward without thinking anything. After trying countless times, he finally managed to shook off the mark of Nanahoshi Ren by tricking him with body feints. Ha ha ha. You thought that you could block me. Try again next time, he thought as he broke free from the mark of Nanahoshi Ren. Just then Sasaki stole the ball from him. He had been so much occupied with Nanahoshi Ren that he forgot about the existence of Sasaki in front of him. Sasaki gave away an excellent through pass to Hiro. Hiro, without controlling the ball, passed the ball towards Ichija Ryu, the newly recruited first-year forward of Ukami Elementary School. The ball rolled towards the penalty box. The keeper of Tokyo Elementary School ran towards the ball to clear it away. Seeing the keeper approaching, Ichija Ryu tried to trick the goalkeeper by faking his shot. The goalkeeper of Tokyo Elementary School stretched his legs to make the stop. Just as the keeper stretched his legs, he tapped the ball lightly and made a turn. With the keeper lying on the ground, nothing stood before him in the goal. He tapped the ball lightly towards the goalpost. Suddenly the keeper of the Tokyo Elementary School stretched his arms and touched the ball. Even though the keeper was on the ground, he wasn't beaten yet. Due to that deflection of the keeper, the ball went out of bounds. Even though they failed to score a goal, the referee awarded them corner kick. It was already 32nd minute of the match. While the ball was in play, the referee had already added additional time. And even that additional time had already passed by the time they were awarded the corner kick at the end of the first half. Hiro walked towards the corner flag to take that corner kick. For that final corner kick of first half, all of the players except the keeper of Ukami Elementary School gathered in front of the goalpost of Tokyo Elementary School. Hiro kicked the ball long and high. The ball was heading away from the goalpost. It was heading outside the penalty box. When everybody assumed that the ball would go out of bounds and referee would blow his whistle, a silhouette of a person became vivid at the place where the ball was going to land. That silhouette belonged to none other than Akashi. As the ball was about to land, he shot the ball in midair and hit a brilliant volley from outside the box. The ball went like a missile towards the post. Unfortunately, the ball hit the bar and went out of play, and as the ball went out of play, the referee blew the whistle, signaling the end of the first half. Unable to open the scoresheet, the first half ended in a goalless draw. That was an amazing volley, Akashi-senpai. Ichija Ryu complimented Akashi as they made their way towards the locker room. If only that volley would have ended in goal, it would have been the best goal of the tournament. Cough. Cough. Did you guys already forgot about my bicycle kick against the team from Fukushima? Hiro interrupted as he heard Ichija Ryu mentioning about the best goal of the tournament. The game progresses rather smoothly for the entirety of the first half, with both sides getting fair amount of shots on target. While they were goofily making their way towards the locker room, his eyes wandered at the crowds and suddenly he caught a glimpse of a familiar person at the seat above the tunnel. Witnessing the sight of someone familiar to him, he paused midway all of a sudden to take a better look at the person. "What are you doing over there? Hurry up, or else the coach will scold you." Akashi spoke while looking at him and interrupted him. "Ah, I thought I saw somebody familiar in the stand." He got distracted by Akashi and couldn't see the person clearly. Once again, he looked at the seat where he witnessed the sight of the familiar person. But that seat was occupied by a girl with blonde hair and white skin. Is it a girl? Hee. Akashi chuckled as he made his way towards Hiro. He then started to look at the stands in front. Oh, your taste is truly unique. I didn't expect you to be interested in foreigners. No, it's not her. There was another person sitting in that seat. Hiro tried to reason with Akashi. Yeah. And that person happened to be a white blonde chick. Ha ha ha. But Akashi kept on teasing him. Akashi-senpai, are you a part of the gang? Keiji Tagashi, second-year defender of Ukami Elementary School, interrupted them from behind. No. Which idiot told you that? Akashi erupted as he heard the statement of Tagashi. Nobody did. It's just you speak like a gangster and you dress up like one too. Tagashi stammered and took a step back in fear. Most of the times Akashi spoke in gangster slangs. Already 4 feet 11 inches tall at the age of 11, he was a year older than Hiro. And because of his appearance and the manner of speech, people often mistook him for gangster. PFT ha ha ha. Yeah right, he's a member of a gang. A very dangerous one. You might have heard the name of the gang, Fearless Oni Gang, Hiro chuckled. Tagashi nervously shook his head. So I was right. You are indeed a member of a gang. Tagashi exclaimed in fear. No, I'm not a gangster. Just stop scaring him already and stop joking, Hiro. You might mislead him this way. Akashi exasperated and began to stare at Hiro as if he would swallow him alive. Okay. Don't look at me like that. I was kidding, okay. Ha ha ha. He's not a member of a gang. It's just his grandfather used to be one of the Yakuzas in his younger days. Akashi here is just a normal student. Hiro reassured Tagashi that he was only joking about the things he said earlier. Okay. Now let's head to locker room, or else Coach Miura will eat us alive. What are you looking for, uncle? The girl with blonde hair exclaimed while looking at a man in his early 30s, bending down in his seat, scavenging for something beneath the seat he was seated. Arg. There it is. My notebook. Just how the hell did it reach that far? The man was looking for his notebook, which he accidentally dropped during the time of the game. He was struggling to reach his notebook. Note: Uncle, please speak in English. While the girl was speaking in English, the man was speaking Japanese. The blonde girl was having difficulties understanding the man's words. He stretched his fingers to reach his notebook, which had somehow fallen beneath his seat. Just as he reached his notebook, he stood up and began to dust his clothes. Do they not clean the stadium at all? The man exasperated as he was dusting his clothes. Alright, what were you saying? Oh yeah, I forgot that you don't understand Japanese very well. Haha. I'm sorry about that. The man apologized goofily, forgetting that he was still speaking Japanese. Please speak in English, uncle. The blonde girl exasperated. Was I speaking in Japanese again? Ha ha ha. My bad. Sorry. Even though he was apologizing to the girl in front, it was clear from the way he spoke that he wasn't even sorry for his mistake. Where are the players? Ugh. Did you already forget that it's halftime? Yeah right. I forgot about it. Ha ha ha. Just how the hell did you even manage to be a licensed agent in Europe with that clumsy attitude of yours? The blonde girl intoned as she witnessed the clumsy attitude of the man in front, while contorting her face in disbelief. She was clearly annoyed by his clumsy behavior. Having majored in sports science, the man she was talking to was one of the lesser-known agents of Europe. Born from a Japanese mother and British father, he was one of the youngest licensed agent in Europe. Though still not famous, he would go on to manage world-class players in the near future. Dressed in a set of Hawaiian shirt and shorts, he had a sun hat on top of his head. With a shade of sunglasses covering his eyes, he was dressed in a way that seemed like he was on a vacation. With brown eyes, sharp nose and chiseled jaw covered with patches of golden beard, one could hardly believe that he was already in his 30s. Just you wait and see my niece Luna. I'm gonna be the best agent with the best player under his wing one day. And everybody's gonna remember the name Eric Parker. Ha ha ha. He laughed maniacally while announcing his name, all of a sudden. There he goes again. Lost in his own delusional fantasies. And just how many times do I need to tell him to speak in English? Ugh, leave it. I don't even care now. Luna exclaimed in her muffled voice. She was clearly annoyed by his behavior. However, since she had seen that side of him several times already, she didn't even bother to explain her annoyance to him. She was already fed up of his self-indulging behavior. Luna was the only daughter of Eric's elder brother Kevin Parker. Born and raised in England, she didn't know any Japanese. Since her mother belonged to a British origin, everybody conversed in English in her home. And the only time she heard Japanese was the time when she visited her grandmother's place and when her father conversed to her grandmother. Since her grandfather had already passed away in his early 60s due to heart condition, her grandmother lived all by herself. Both Eric and Kevin offered her to move in with them several times, but she rejected them each and every time they asked her. And every time when she asked her why she didn't want to move in with either her father or her uncle, her grandmother always replied that the home she resided reminded her of her beloved husband. Also, Eric and Kevin normally talked to each other in English. She could rarely hear them converse in Japanese. That's why her Japanese was very weak. "Just why are we even here, uncle?" Luna questioned Eric, who was still laughing maniacally. Eric paused as he heard her voice. He then perplexingly looked at her and replied, "Don't you know that already? We're here to visit your grandmother's homeland." "Yeah, I do know about that. But what are we doing here in a kid's game? This is one of the biggest school-level competition in Japan. And you're asking what are we doing here? Also, you're a 16-year-old kid yourself. So what right do you have to call this kids? Kids?" Eric began to blabber without stopping. "Don't call me kid. I'm already a grown-up. I'll soon leave the house for university after I complete my high school in few years and live independently." Luna exasperated. "Also, why are you scribbling on your note? Are you here to recruit some players?" Luna continued. "Hell no. Why would I recruit Asian players? With all due respect to Asian players, they're not talented enough to make us huge money. They don't get signed for huge amount of money in European markets. And if they're not signed for huge amount of money, I can't make money. So no, I'm not here to recruit players." Eric sternly declined her claims. Since Eric believed that Asian players were not up to par with European or South American players, he had never ever considered even in his dream to recruit any Asian players. Also, since the market value of Asian players were not too high in European markets, he couldn't make money out of Asian players. Thus he avoided signing any Asian players. And him being there was pure coincidence. He just coincidentally happened to be in Tokyo around the time of the final. And since he had a lot of free time, he went to the stadium just to enjoy the match and get entertained. However, even when merely spectating the match, he couldn't control himself from noting the details of players in his notebook out of his habit. He wasn't noting their playstyle to recruit them. In simple terms, he wasn't there to recruit or scout players, he was only there to enjoy the game as a spectator. After a 10-minute break, the players started to make their way towards the pitch, out of the tunnel. Both of the teams swapped their sides as the players from both teams began to align themselves in their respective positions. Still in doubt about the person he witnessed earlier, he casted a glance at the stands. As he turned his gaze towards the seat where Luna was seated, he finally got the glimpse of Eric. That person. Where have I seen that person? He began to wonder as he witnessed the sight of Eric in the stand. I'm sure I've seen him somewhere before in my past life. Somehow he feels really familiar, but I can't recall exactly where I've seen him. Unable to identify the person in front, he began to rummage through his past memories to find out the identity of the familiar person in the stand. Ah, that's right. He's the soon-to-be famous agent of European origin Eric Parker. He finally recalled the identity of Eric after thinking for a while. Despite being an agent, Eric was well known by the football fans because of his insane popularity in his past life. His appearance is almost similar to that of his 52-year-old self, so he only got few wrinkles on his face as he aged. Damn, talk about longevity. He mumbled in awe upon recalling the identity of Eric. Ding! New quest unlocked. Quest objective. Impress the agent and get an offer from Eric. Rewards. Muscle enhancing elixir. Penalty. 8 random stat points deduction. Accept, or reject. Note. If you reject the mission, the system will get deactivated for 4 years. A quest at this point of match. And what is this muscle enhancing elixir? The system had been providing me with attribute points, skill or roulette tickets previously. But why this sudden change? And why is the penalty so harsh? Like if it was that easy to impress a European agent, then the world would have been flooding with professional players by now. Aish. At this point I don't even care. I guess if I fail, I'll just have to wave goodbye to my 8 stat points. I just hope that it won't deduct all 8 points from my physical stat. After all, it's already lower as compared to other stat. He began to cuss the system for its unfairness. After all, just like he mentioned, it was not an easy feat to impress foreign agents. Moreover, he knew the situation of Asian players in European markets. Not many Asian players that played in Asia made it to Europe. Even though there were few remarkable talents showcasing their talent in the top European leagues such as Heung-min Son, Takumi Minamino and others, not many Asians performed well in European leagues even after getting signed by European clubs. Heung-min Son is a South Korean football player who plays in one of the Premier League teams, Tottenham Hotspur. He's also the only Asian to ever win Premier League Golden Boot. Known for his superb pace and ridiculous goal-scoring ability, he's a world-class player of Asian origin. The number of Asian players who performed well in European leagues were very limited. Hiro Senpei. Hiro Senpei. While he was thinking of the quest given by the system, he was blankly staring at the stands, forgetting that he was still in the middle of an ongoing match. Yeah, he stammered, coming back to his senses. Are you okay? Ichija Ryu inquired with a worried face. Oh yeah, I'm fine. You've been spacing out for a while by now, so I was worried if something had happened to you. Ichija Ryu expressed his concerns of him. Thank you for worrying about me, but I'm really fine, Hiro intoned. Except. Beep. Just then the referee blew his whistle. With no player changes from both sides, the game commenced with the whistle of the referee. Since he was given a mission by the system, he could no longer play like his usual self. He needed to perform beyond his abilities and give his 100% if he wanted to leave an impact on Eric. With both sides struggling to score a goal, neither of the teams were able to open the scoresheet. Even though Hiro's team was dominating the position, they were still struggling to guide the ball inside the net. At 47th minute of the game took a new turn. Midori Aoi, the attacking midfielder of Tokyo Elementary School, was holding on to the ball. Slowly dribbling the ball, he was scanning the field in search of his teammates. Kaminari Shinji, who somehow managed to shook his mark, began to run forward. Noticing the run of Kaminari Shinji, Midori Aoi quickly released the ball towards him. He sent a powerful through ball towards the left flank where Kaminari Shinji was making his run. He hit the ball a little too hard and it seemed that the ball would go out of bounds. Yuto Ume, the second-year right full-back of Ukami Elementary School, immediately left his position and ran towards the ball to clear the ball. As the ball was kicked a little too hard, he slowed down his pace. He guessed that the ball would go out of bounds and thus intentionally slowed down to conserve his stamina. However, unlike him, Kaminari Shinji was very persistent. He didn't stop chasing the ball even while knowing it would go out of bounds. He was simply unwilling to stop before trying his best. I hit it a little too hard. Shit, it'll go out of bounds. Midori Aoi mumbled as he placed both of his hands on his temple in disappointment and closed his eyes. Woohoo! Suddenly the cheers of crowds erupted like a volcanic eruption. Midori Aoi lifted his head up upon hearing the sudden loud cheers of the fans. The ball was rolling back towards Kaminari Shinji instead of going out of bounds. It had landed inside the pitch, a certain distance away from the boundary lines. But instead of bouncing forward, the ball was bouncing backwards. Subconsciously he had applied a backspin on the ball. What's this? The ball, which seemed like it was going out of bounds, has suddenly started rolling back. What an amazing ball from Midori Aoi. But looking at his face, even he looks shocked. Seems like he had subconsciously applied a backspin on the ball. Ha 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 ha. As the ball began to roll backwards, Yuto Ume quickly increased his pace. However, he couldn't still manage to reach the ball before Kaminari Shinji. Kaminari Shinji took hold of the ball and began to dribble the ball inside the penalty box. Even though Yuto Ume couldn't reach the ball, he tried to correct his mistake by stopping Kaminari Shinji from making the shot. With Ume in front of him and Nanahoshi Ren chasing after him, Kaminari Shinji began to look for his options. Mizuhara Aoi, the center forward of Tokyo Elementary School, was waiting for Shinji's pass inside the penalty box. However, he was being heavily marked by Akashi, and no matter how much he struggled, he wasn't able to break free from the clutch of Akashi. He then looked behind him, but all he could see was players of Ukami Elementary School. With Nanahoshi Ren approaching closer towards him, he thought of cutting in. Ume cautiously approached him. Keeping his gaze fixated at the ball, he maintained his composure. Shinji began to dribble the ball towards him, slowly. Where will he go? Will it be left or right? Yuto Ume began to wonder while constantly shifting his gaze between Shinji and the ball. Shinji tapped the ball with the inside of his right foot. Along with the ball, he moved his body to the right as well. It's right. Since Shinji was already inside the penalty box, he had to be extra careful. Slight physical touch could have led to a penalty after all. And it was already 48th minute of the match. With only 12 minutes and additional time remaining, he couldn't afford to give away a penalty at that moment. Ume moved his body to right and stretched his legs towards the direction of the ball. Got it, he thought as he was about to hit the ball. Just then Shinji kicked the ball with the inside of his left leg and shifted the direction of the ball towards the right. Skillfully passing Ume, he was open to shoot, however he wasn't able to control his body. He was getting off balance and was about to fall, but just before he fell down, he managed to land a kick on the ball. Akashi came forward stretching his legs to block his shooting course. Luckily the ball touched the tip of his boot and bounced upwards. As the ball rebounded off his boot, Ken rushed forward toward the ball, but so did Mizuhara Aoi. Ken leapt towards the ball which was descending from the sky. Mizuhara Aoi jumped towards the ball as well. Smack! Since Ken was a goalkeeper who could use his hands to reach the ball, he was the first one to reach the ball. He punched the ball away. And even though he punched the ball away, Mizuhara Aoi crashed against him when competing for the ball. The punched away ball headed towards Midori Aoi. In midair he shot the ball and connected a brilliant volley. The ball flew like a missile and landed inside the net of Ukami Elementary School. Beep! As Mizuhara Aoi crashed against Ken, Ken fell down hard on the ground, and in that very moment when Ken was brought down by Mizuhara Aoi, Midori Aoi shot the loose ball towards the post. With nobody to stop the ball landed inside the net. Goal! The crowd burst out in cheers as the ball landed inside the net. In ecstasy, Midori Aoi ran towards the bench where the substitute players of Tokyo Elementary School were seated. All of them began to jump on top of each other and began to celebrate Aoi's goal. Finally opening the scoresheet, their happiness knew no bounds. The dreadlock has finally broken. Midori Aoi, the guy who passed the ball to Kaminari Shinji, has scored a goal against Ukami Elementary School and shattered their dreams of lifting the national trophy for the first time. Six-time champion Tokyo Elementary School are looking for their 7th title. But wait. What's this? The referee is gesturing something. He has disallowed the goal. Are you blind, ref? Didn't you see? It was a clear goal. Coach of Tokyo Elementary School burst out in fury and began to cuss at referee as he disallowed the goal. The players of Tokyo Elementary School ran towards the referee and surrounded him. Didn't you see, ref? It was a clear goal. They began to argue with the referee for his decision of disallowing the goal. The players of Tokyo Elementary School doesn't look very pleased about referee's decision. They're looming all over him and surrounding him like pack of hyenas surrounding their prey. For the earlier foul committed against Ken by Mizuhara Aoi, the referee disallowed the goal of Tokyo Elementary School and declared the goal void. Finally, just when they managed to score the goal, the referee declared it void for the earlier foul committed against the opponent keeper. That coach's face is a sight to behold. Just how much more dramatic can this game become? Luna exclaimed, witnessing the riot taking place in the pitch. Eric, however, remained silent and kept on staring at the players in the field. Come on, ref. What are you doing? That was a clear goal. An old man in his 40s who was supporting Tokyo Elementary School, sitting beside them, exasperated. Since a lot of spectators in the stands were supporting Tokyo Elementary School, they were not pleased with the decision of referee. While the players of Tokyo Elementary School were arguing with the referee over his decision of disallowing the goal, Hiro walked towards Yuto Ume. I'm sure that you're already aware of your mistakes, and I'm not saying that your mistake costed us this goal. But as a captain of our team, I need to make sure our team plays well and our players remain sharp. So I won't say much, but you need to play as if your life is on the line. You know it very well that I was the one who put in the words for you to coach Miura. So don't prove me wrong, Ume. Dull behaviors won't be tolerated. I hope you get it, and I hope you don't repeat this mistake again. Hiro rolled his eyes towards Ume and put his hands on his shoulder. At that moment, Ume couldn't even lift his head to lock eyes with Hiro. Hiro was simply too much domineering. Even if he wanted to forgive Yuto Ume for his mistake, he couldn't. He was the captain of his team after all. And it was his responsibility to guide his teammates when they made a mistake. With 8 stat points on the line, he couldn't allow anyone to make mistakes. Fortunately, the referee declared the goal void for the earlier foul committed against Ken. A goal at that moment of the game could have ended their hopes of lifting the trophy. With only 12 minutes and additional time remaining, that goal would have almost marked full stop to their dreams of lifting the trophy. As he witnessed Um's body shrunken in fear, he realized he was being very harsh on him. Sigh, I'm sorry about my tone, but this game is really important to me. So let's just give our best, shall we? Hiro released a deep sigh and apologized to Ume for scaring him. He then started to walk towards his position. "Sorry, Captain. I won't repeat such mistakes again." Yuto Ume apologized to Hiro after realizing his mistake. Hiro revealed a smile as he heard Ume's apology. Even though he had a lazy mindset, he wasn't the type of guy who would avoid taking responsibilities for the mistakes committed. While they were conversing with each other, the referee was on a streak of his own. He had already shown 3 yellow cards to 3 different pairs of Tokyo Elementary School. He also showed a straight red card to the coach of Tokyo Elementary School for his rude behavior against the referee and ejected him out of the stadium. With those dramas taking place in the field, the game was taking a drastic turn. Witnessing their coach getting dejected out of the stadium, the players of Tokyo Elementary School started to quiet down. After all, they would only be losing their players if they continued to argue with the referee. Seems like the players of Tokyo Elementary School have finally calmed down. That was a wise decision from the players of Tokyo Elementary School. After all, they could have lost even more players if they continued to argue with the referee. Now what will they do without the help of their coach? And as the situation got resolved, the referee awarded a free kick to Ukami Elementary School at the place where the foul was committed. Akashi was the one to take the free kick. He casually passed the ball towards Sasaki. Sasaki then began to search for his options while dribbling the ball towards the center of the pitch. Since 3 players of Tokyo Elementary School were already booked, they couldn't afford to play the game aggressively. Because all of the forwards of their team were being marked, Sasaki couldn't find any open spaces. Unable to find open spaces, he passed the ball towards Nanahoshi Ren. Nanahoshi Ren, who was already in the middle third of the pitch, began to casually roam around the middle third of the pitch with the ball in his feet. The players of Tokyo Elementary School couldn't afford to let him roam freely with the ball. Both Mizuhara Aoi and Midori Aoi ran towards Nanahoshi Ren. Just as they left their position, General and Ryu both started to make their run towards the goalpost. One running in the right flank and another in the left flank, they were both heading towards the goal. Instead of running forward, Hiro began to drop deep to receive the ball from Nanahoshi Ren. Seeing Mizuhara Aoi and Midori Aoi approaching towards him, Nanahoshi Ren immediately passed the ball towards Hiro, who had dropped deep to receive the pass. While the defenders of Tokyo Elementary School were occupied with Gen and Ryu, they failed to notice the run of another player. Patiently waiting for the ball at the middle third of the pitch, just beneath the center line, Yuto Ume began to make his run just at the moment when Nanahoshi Ren released the ball from his feet. Witnessing Hiro making his run towards Nanahoshi Ren, Ashiki Soba, the defensive midfielder of Tokyo Elementary School, ran towards him. Sensing the presence of Ashiki Soba behind him, Hiro let the ball through his legs without touching it. Ashiki Soba couldn't figure out the intention of Hiro. Because he was solely focused on Hiro, he didn't even realize that Hiro didn't touch the ball. As he let go of the ball, Hiro swiftly twisted his body and began to chase after the ball. Ashiki Soba couldn't react on time and he had to once again chase after Hiro for the ball. 2 defenders of Tokyo Elementary School were already occupied with Gen and Ryu, and only a single defender stood in front of him and the goalkeeper. Oshita Ida, a 5 feet tall central defender of Tokyo Elementary School, rushed towards him. With his massive body, he covered the entire vision of the post. He could no longer tell the position of the keeper of the Tokyo Elementary School unless he dribbled past Ida. With Ashiki Soba approaching him from behind and Oshita Ida in front of him, he needed to make his decision quickly. While dribbling the ball, he began to step over the ball consecutively with his both foot. Left, right, left, right. After stepping over the ball a little over 3 times, while stepping over the ball with his right foot on the 4th turn, he kicked the ball with the outside of his foot and passed the ball towards Yuto Ume. Oshita Ida couldn't do anything other than stare at the ball. As the ball rolled towards Ume, he didn't control the ball. Instead, he shot the ball without stopping it. The ball flew towards the post. From the right edge of the penalty box, Ume shot the ball. The ball flew towards the upper left corner of the goalpost. However, the keeper managed to get a touch at the ball, and thus, the ball went out of bounds even though it was shot precisely at the post. Beep. As the ball went out of bounds, they were awarded a corner kick at the 51st minute of the match. Just then the assistant coach of Tokyo Elementary School decided to make a player change. The players of Ukami Elementary School couldn't help but stare at the player who was making his way towards the pitch. As the ball went out of bounds, with only 9 minutes and additional time remaining, the opponent team decided to make player changes. So he's finally coming in. Hiro mumbled as he witnessed the sight of the player who was stretching his legs in the sidelines. Player change for Tokyo Elementary School. Number 22 out, number 2 in. Looks like Ashiki Soba is getting substituted for Nagasaki Akutsu. The star player of Tokyo Elementary School, also famously known as Viper, has finally decided to step inside the pitch. He had played only a single match in this tournament this time around because of an injury he suffered during training. Nagasaki Akutsu, a 5 feet 4 inches tall, 13-year-old center back of Tokyo Elementary School, was stretching his body in sidelines. Spiky straight black hair, elongated narrow monolid eyes with small dark pupil and a muscular lean body, Nagasaki Akutsu was radiating an ominous aura around him. "Best of luck, Akutsu-san," Ashiki Soba exclaimed as he substituted for Nagasaki Akutsu. He was the player who had costed them national championships during their previous face-off. The sole reason why they struggled to score goal against Tokyo Elementary School in their previous face-off was all because of Akutsu. In his first year, if it weren't for Akutsu, then he would have already registered a national champion medal under his name. As soon as he stepped on the field, he ran towards Hiro and began to mark him. The sole reason he was stepping on the field was to neutralize Hiro. With Nanahoshi Rin as the set-piece taker, the players of Ukami Elementary School gathered inside the defensive half of Tokyo Elementary School for the corner kick. Nanahoshi Rin played a short ball towards Sasaki, who was standing a certain distance away from him. With the ball in his feet, Sasaki began to weigh his options. A high ball would have been easily cleared by Akutsu. Since Akutsu was the tallest player in the field, he couldn't recklessly cross the ball inside the penalty box. Unable to cross the ball inside the penalty box, he began to look for other options. Everybody were being heavily marked. Even Hiro was being tightly marked by Akutsu. Just when he was looking for a player to pass the ball, his eyes locked with Hiro's. Hiro gestured him to hold the ball and draw out the defenders as much as he could. Sasaki then began to dribble the ball diagonally towards the goalpost. As he was starting to dribble the ball towards the goalpost, players of Tokyo Elementary School began to rush towards him. Just then Hiro dashed towards Sasaki. Witnessing Hiro's run, Sasaki passed the ball towards Hiro and began to cut in. Hiro hit the ball back with the back of his heels and returned the ball back to Sasaki with a single touch. Tokyo Elementary School's players couldn't do anything at all. Without stopping the ball, Sasaki immediately released the ball back to Hiro. With swift 1-2 passes, they left the defenders of Tokyo Elementary School in dust. As Hiro began to cut in with the ball, he found himself in front of Akutsu. Akutsu stood before him while staring at him with his fierce eyes. As if those eyes could see through his soul, a chill ran down his spine as he locked eyes with Akutsu. Hiro began to step over the ball. However, Akutsu showed no reaction and remained absolutely calm. He didn't leave any space open for him to exploit. Not only did he prevent him from dribbling the ball forward, he also blocked all his pass courses. Just like a snake waiting for a perfect moment to strike its prey, he was patiently waiting for the moment when Hiro would make mistakes to perform the tackle. TCH, just how much of a monster is he? Even with the help of system and years of football knowledge, I can't get past through him. Not only is he keeping his pressure on me, he's also blocking my pass courses. Unable to get past through Akutsu, Hiro started showing signs of frustration. The reason why Akutsu was called Viper was because of his playing style. Just like how a viper would suffocate its prey before swallowing it, Akutsu would maintain his pressure on his opponent until his opponent would eventually make mistakes subconsciously. That number 2 is on whole another level than the rest of the players on the field. Don't you agree, uncle? The way he keeps his cool even when facing against an opponent inside his own box is truly remarkable. Luna began to praise Akutsu. Indeed, if only he could play in Europe, he could develop even further. Eric replied while folding his hands, keeping his gaze fixated at the ball. That number 10 from the black team stand no chance against him. I wonder if it's true. Eric rolled his eyes towards his notebook and replied in his muffled voice. Subconsciously he had been keeping track of Hiro from the very beginning of the match. Even though he denied his interest in Asian players, he was somehow drawn towards Hiro's playstyle. And thus, he had been keeping track of his movement to test out his thoughts of him. While performing step-overs, suddenly he touched the ball with the outside of his right foot. At that moment Akutsu stretched his legs towards him to snatch the ball. That touch from Hiro wasn't a mistake. He intentionally tapped the ball with the outside of his boot to trick Akutsu into believing he made a mistake. As he kicked the ball with the outside of his right foot, He again tapped the ball with the inside of his right foot and performed a elastico. Hiro took full advantage of Akutsu's playstyle and manipulated him into believing he made a mistake. "Tch, he tricked me." Akashi clicked his tongue. "But at least I'll force him into shooting with his left leg." Since most of the times Hiro scored goal with his right leg, Akutsu assumed that he was right-footed. Even though Akutsu could still reach him if he performed a sliding tackle, there was a possibility of a foul, and he was hesitant to foul him inside the penalty box. Just when Hiro was preparing to shoot the ball, Akutsu dashed towards him and threw his body in front of him. Fortunately, he hadn't raised his legs yet to perform the shot. Hiro tapped the ball with the inside of his right foot. The ball rolled towards his left leg. "Somehow I've managed to force him into shooting with his left leg." Akutsu revealed a satiated grin. Hiro kicked the ball hard with his left leg and shoved the ball down right the bottom left corner of the post. Even with his arms stretched, the keeper couldn't prevent the shot. For this whole time Akutsu was having a misconception of Hiro being right-footed. In fact, his left foot carried as much shot power as his right foot. Hiro was ambidextrous. Goal. Hiro scored the goal at the 54th minute of the match and finally opened the scoresheet. Woohoo! The supporters of Ukami Elementary School bursted out in cheers as he scored that goal. "Yeah, goal!" Eric yelled as Hiro scored the goal. Even Eric was forced to stand up from his seat. "You sure? You didn't come here to recruit players?" Luna mumbled upon witnessing his celebration. That was a brilliant goal," Eric exclaimed while clearing his throat as he tried to maintain his composure. "Arg damn! How could you let that child loose?" Akutsu, the old man sitting beside them, seemed extremely disappointed by Hiro's goal. After scoring that goal, Hiro began to run towards the sidelines where the substitute and staffs of Ukami Elementary School were seated. While taking his t-shirt off, he began to run towards the sidelines while flipping his t-shirt in his hands. Celebrating as if he had already won the national championship, his happiness knew no bounds. The players of Ukami Elementary School followed him, but he didn't stop. He kept on running towards the sidelines where the substitutes of Ukami Elementary School were seated. Just as he reached the sidelines, he celebrated his goal by displaying his number 10 jersey to the supporters in the stands. "Look at the audacity of that boy. He's trying to recreate Messi's celebration against Real Madrid." Eric chuckled, witnessing his audacity to flaunt his jersey in front of the packed stadium filled with supporters of Tokyo Elementary School. Tokyo Elementary School couldn't make a comeback in the remaining minute of the match, and thus, the game ended with a score of 1-0. Ukami Elementary School finally won the match against the 6-time champion Tokyo Elementary School and registered their first ever national championship. Hiro's sole goal at the 54th minute of the match secured them the title. After the end of the match before award ceremony, the referee gathered both the teams for one last handshake. "Weren't you right-footed? So how could you perform such powerful shot from your left leg?" Akutsu questioned as he took Hiro's hand. "Who told you that I was right-footed? I can shoot equally well with both my foot. It's just I haven't demonstrated the power of my left foot yet," Hiro replied as he shook hands with Akutsu. While everybody were celebrating their victory against Tokyo Elementary School in the final of national championship, Hiro noticed Akashi blankly staring at the scoreboard at the top of the stadium. Smack. "Yo. What are you doing over here while acting all lost?" Hiro smacked his back gently and began to question him. "Arg. This sensation of pain feels too real to be a dream. So we did manage to win the national championship, huh?" Akashi bewilderingly exclaimed while coming back to his senses. He was having trouble discerning between reality and dream. "Of course we won. If you're still having trouble discerning between reality and dream, then I can hit you once again." "Haha." Hiro revealed an evil grin as he began to prepare himself to hit him one more time. As they won the match, a lot of people began to leave the stadium. Since most of them were supporters of Tokyo Elementary School, they weren't interested in staying behind to watch them lift the trophy. So I guess this is it. Shall we head out too, Uncle?" Luna inquired as she began to stretch her body, which had gotten stiff after sitting for a long time. Eric remained completely silent. As if he was lost in some kind of thoughts, he was contemplatively staring at the pitch in front with his chin resting on the top of his folded hands. Uncle. Witnessing his unresponsiveness, she reached out for him. "Yeah, were you saying something?" Eric replied upon coming back to his senses. "Yeah, I was asking you if we should leave or not. You've been acting really weird," Luna intoned while staring at him. Sigh, let's leave. As Eric took a deep breath, he stood up from his seat and took out his sunglasses which he had tucked in his shirt's pocket during the match. He then put on his round-shaped sunglasses and began to walk away. As they started to leave the stands, Eric casted one last glance at the pitch. Boy, you really are something else. With few supporters remaining, everybody expected the cheers of the spectators to die down. But on the contrary, those few supporters who were present in the stands to support Ukami Elementary School began to cheer at the top of their voice. Even with so few spectators, the stadium feels as lively as it was before the start of the game. Those few supporters of Ukami Elementary School are truly adding vitality to the stadium. After receiving their medals for attaining second position in the national tournament, the players of Tokyo Elementary School began to leave the stadium with their head bowed down. They couldn't look the supporters in their eyes. While leaving the stadium, Akutsu made his way towards Hiro. It was fun to play against you. I'll be graduating this year and we won't get to meet for a year. But I hope next time when we meet, we could meet as teammates rather than enemies. Akutsu mumbled and expressed himself. It was fun playing with you too. I'm sure we'll get a lot of opportunities to play together in the near future. Hiro replied as he extended his arms forward to perform one last handshake with Akutsu. Akutsu took his hands and smiled. He then ran towards his teammates. Sigh, damn. That was scary. Hiro released a deep breath as Akutsu left his sight. As genial as Akutsu's intentions were, his smile was creepy as hell. And Hiro wasn't used to seeing him smile. He rather preferred his serious expression than his smiling face. Now on to the finale. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the new champions of Japanese elementary school level football tournament, Ukami Elementary School. As the commentator announced their team's name, they began to walk towards the stage to receive their medals. Unlike the time at prefectural tournament, an actual stage was set up in the stadium, this time around, with the banner of national championship hung in a temporarily prepared metallic pole and a slightly lifted wooden platform. The stage was set for the trophy celebration. As they walked up the stage, a gentleman in black suit handed them their medals. With a wide smile on his face, he congratulated the players as they received their medals from him. That man was the head of Ministry of Sports and Youth of Japan. He was the sports minister of Japan. Congratulations for winning the championship. You played really well. The sports minister spoke as he shook hands with Hiro. Since Hiro was the captain of the team, he was the last one to receive the medal. Thank you, sir, for your praises. It means a lot to hear those compliments from you, sir. While shaking hands with him, Hiro bowed down his head to him. Bowing head when accepting compliments was a gesture of showing respect, and since Hiro was younger than the sports minister, he was required to bow his head while accepting the compliments in order to show his respect towards sports minister who was way older than him by a mile. Ho ho. Players like you are the future of our country. As they retracted their hands, Hikaru Matsuyama, the sports minister of Japan, handed him the trophy. As he took the trophy from his hands, he began to stare at the trophy in his hand in awe. With a shape that resembled a wineglass and a handlebar on each side, the trophy was painted in gold. With few fake jewels embedded in it, one could hardly tell if it was a real gold trophy or a fake one. You can see it all you want when we get back, but will you hurry up now? Akashi yelled as he witnessed Hiro staring at the trophy in his hand. Yeah, Captain. Your teammates are waiting for you, right guys? Ichija Ryu yelled. Yeah, hurry up. His teammates yelled as he was taking time to come up to the stage. His teammates had been eagerly waiting for him since a while. Coming back to his senses, he rushed towards his teammates. As he prepared to lift the trophy, everybody began to wiggle their hands and chant. Who? Just as he lifted the trophy, they yelled. Woo, championes, championes. Jumping and singing, they began to celebrate. The celebration continued for a while. The supporters were enjoying the trophy celebration and so were the players. The players took turn to lift the trophy. The family of players who had flown to Tokyo to watch them play, poured onto stage to celebrate with them. After handing the trophy to his teammates, he rushed towards the sidelines where his parents were happily clicking his photos with smiles on their faces. Dad, Mom, let's join the celebration, he exclaimed as he got closer to them. No, it's your moment. Go celebrate it with your teammates, his mother replied. Yeah, you should go celebrate it with your teammates, Takashi added. Even though they didn't mean anything negative, their response saddened him. Since he couldn't celebrate such victory with his parents in his previous life, he desperately wanted to celebrate his victory with his parents in his present life. At least let's click a picture together, he intoned while sniffing his snot. With tears forming in his eyes, he was on the verge of crying. Despite being a grown-up adult from inside, he couldn't control his emotions this time around. There was still a soft spot around his heart for his parents. His eyes turned red as tears began to form in his eyes. Upon witnessing his sad face, they immediately went over towards him to console him. Momo quickly grabbed his hands and began to wipe away his tears with her bare hands. Don't cry now, it's a moment of celebration, so it's not good to cry at such moments. Now let's go celebrate the victory, Takashi exclaimed, trying to cheer him up. Takashi took his hands and lifted him up. While carrying him on his back, Takashi went towards his teammates. Let's go, champ. They then joined his teammates to celebrate their triumph. The celebration continued for a while. Akashi. Hiro called out for Akashi, who was singing and dancing with his teammates. Akashi, however, was so much engrossed in the celebration that he couldn't listen to his voice. Quadruple A. She, he yelled at the top of his voice. This time around Akashi heard his voice and walked towards him. Yeah, Hiro? You need me for something? Akashi mumbled. Yeah, can you take a picture of us? Us? Akashi failed to notice his parents because of the commotion going on. Yeah, can you take a picture of me with my mom and dad? Hiro pointed behind him at his parents. Hello, Mrs. Takahashi. Hello, Mr. Takahashi. Akashi immediately greeted his parents by bowing his head as soon as he noticed his parents. And as he handed his phone to Akashi, he ran towards his teammates. He then brought the trophy and joined his parents. While placing the trophy in the middle, he bit his middle. With his mother and father accompanying him, Akashi took the picture of them three together. This picture looks really good. We should definitely frame this and hung it on the living room. Don't you agree, honey? Momo exclaimed while pointing at the picture in her smartphone. Their trophy celebration lasted for a while, and finally after a group photo with the cup, their celebration came to an end. I've done all I can, but why can't I see system notification for the completion of the quest? Did I fail somehow? He wondered. Well, it's not even that surprising though. Guess I'll be bidding my farewell to my 8 stat points. April 9, 2019. After the end of the match, Eric returned to his mother's ancestral house, which was located in Shibuya City, Tokyo. As soon as he entered his room, he threw himself in his bed. While lying with his face facing against the ceiling, he began to replay the match in his mind. That kid was really something else. But there are many kids like him around the world. And moreover, he's Asian. So should I leave him or sign him? He was in conflict with himself. He couldn't bring himself to decide whether to sign Hiro or let him go. As he analyzed his play even further, he got even more confused. While his gameplay impressed him, he couldn't bring himself to go against his philosophy and sign him. Yet he couldn't bring himself to let him go either. Arg. It's frustrating, he exasperated while rubbing his hair in frenzy. Let's investigate him first and then we'll decide. He was getting restless while thinking of Hiro. Unable to decide, he got up from his bed and walked towards his desk. As he pulled the chair and sat on top of it, he pulled out his laptop from his drawer and placed it atop his table. He then began to search for anything related to Hiro. Ukami Elementary School. He typed on the Google search bar without much expectations. As he pressed enter, several results popped up on his screen. Whoa! There are a lot more results than what I originally expected. Eric mumbled in awe upon witnessing the results shown by Google. While going through his videos, he coincidentally stumbled upon Hiro's YouTube channel. So this kid's got a YouTube channel too. Whoa! Look at those subscribers. He's like a local YouTube celebrity. Eric mumbled in awe upon witnessing the number of views and subscribers in his video. As he began to go through his YouTube videos, Eric could no longer stop him from contacting Hiro. He then began to search for his contact information. While searching for his contact information, he chanced upon the contact number of his school. April 10, 2019, the day after the final match of tournament. Hiro was lying in his bed with his eyes wide open. It was already 7:45 a.m. Even though his eyes were open, he couldn't bring himself to leave his bed. Since the school had given a day off for the players who participated in the tournament, he was in no hurry to wake up. Chirp. Chirp. While lying in bed, he heard chirps of birds outside his window, yet he couldn't bring himself to wake up from his bed. He casted a glance at his window. Rays of morning sun illuminating from the gaps of the curtains shone bright in his eyes. Those bright rays of sunlight made him uncomfortable, and thus, he began to shade his eyes from those bright rays with his hands. He then turned his head and began to stare at the ceiling above him. Sigh, I want to sleep, yet I can't today, he mumbled. Usually he'd be taking a nap around that time, yet that day he was wide awake. He tried to close his eyes but still he couldn't fall asleep. Feeling restless, he thought of checking on the system. System activate. As he mumbled, a holographic blue screen appeared before his eyes. He then began to fiddle with the system. While fiddling through the system, he noticed a bell icon glowing in red color. Huh, what's that bell-like thing? It wasn't there before. With his eyebrows raised, he paused for a while as he noticed the bell icon. Out of sheer curiosity, he clicked on the bell icon. Just as he clicked the bell icon, the system directed him towards a new page. System update available. Required attribute point for the system upgrade, 100. Attribute point in possession, 83. Note: please complete your quest to earn more attribute points to upgrade the system. Huh, attribute points can be used like that as well. I thought that it was used for raising the stats, he mumbled as he witnessed the text on the screen. Even though he was gifted with a system, he hadn't been using system much, and thus his knowledge of the system was very limited. System, can you elaborate more about the use of attribute points? Attribute points description. A currency of the system which can be used to exchange items in system store, increase stats and upgrade system features. Note: 10 attribute point equals 1 stat point. You can exchange 10 attribute points for 1 stat point of your desire. I see. So basically 10 attribute points can be exchanged for 1 stat points. So 1 attribute point only amounts to 0.1 stat point. No wonder my progress is slow. It's really hard to increase stat points. Even with the help of system, you can't just miraculously become the world's best player overnight, he mumbled as he tried to figure out the use of attribute points. But how do I gain attribute points? It can be gained only via quest and daily mission. Since the moment he gained the system, he hadn't used his attribute points. He had been saving his attribute points for the time of need. Damn. The attribute points which I saved for almost 5 years only amounts to 8 stat points. It's a daylight robbery, he intoned as he thrusted his hand and pushed his upper body up. Hiru. What's that sound that I heard? His mother yelled as she heard a loud sound coming from his room. Nothing, Mom. The sound must have come from the outside, he replied while trying to hide his actions. April 10, 2019. Ring. 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 Hello. It's Suzuka speaking. How may I help you? Hello. Is this the number of Ukami Elementary School? Eric inquired. Yes, it's the number of Ukami Elementary School. How may I help you? Hello. It's Eric Parker speaking. I'm a football agent from Europe, and I was wondering if you'd be able to provide me with the contact number of one of your students. Can you please hold on for a minute? I'll pass the phone to our principal, so that you can discuss it with him. Suzuka-sensei, the personal assistant of the principal of Ukami Elementary School, spoke as she heard Eric's reply. Step. 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 She then hurriedly rushed towards the principal's office while carrying the phone in her hands. Knock. 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 She knocked on the door of principal's office. Yes. Who's this? Principal Miyamoto spoke from inside his office. Sir, it's Suzuka, your PA. Oh, it's you, Suzuka-sensei. Please enter. Principal Miyamoto allowed Suzuka-sensei to enter. Suzuka-sensei then handed the phone to Principal Miyamoto. Miyamoto Takumi speaking. How may I help you? It's a pleasure to speak with you, Takumi-san. I'm Eric Parker, an agent from Europe. I've been wondering if you could provide me with the contact details of one of your players. Eric exclaimed in a soft voice. He was extremely polite while making his request. At first, Principal Miyamoto doubted Eric's claim and was hesitant to provide him with the contact information. But as they continued to talk for a while, he confirmed that Eric's claims were all true. It was pleasure talking to you, Takumi-san. I've got some works to do right now, so if you'll excuse me, then I shall take my leave for now. Let's continue our talk tomorrow, shall we? Eric cheerfully exclaimed as he tried to hang the call. Then we shall do that, Eric-san. Also, we'll discuss more about the deal tomorrow when we meet. Ha ha ha. Have a good day, Eric-san. Principal Miyamoto replied. You too have a good day, Takumi-san. As he said his well wishes, he hung up the call. After sweet-talking Principal Miyamoto Takumi for a while, Eric finally attained the contact number of Hiro's family. That stingy old man wants me to promote his school's name in exchange for providing me with the contact number of Hiro. Well, it's not that big of a deal since I'll be leaving for Europe in few days either way. so I'll fulfill his wish as a charitable request. In exchange for providing Eric with the contact number of Hiro, Principal Miyamoto wanted to use his name. Even though he had nothing to lose from that deal, he still didn't have anything to gain from that deal either except getting the contact number of Hiro. Principal Miyamoto wanted to use Eric and Hiro's name as marketing tool to boost his school's name. Since most of the times he would be in Europe, Eric reluctantly agreed to his deal. Eric then began to dial the number given by Principal Miyamoto. Ring, ring, ring. Hello. It's Mrs. Takahashi speaking. How may I help you? Momo answered the call from Eric. Hello. I'm Eric Parker. I'm a football agent from Europe and I'd like to talk about your son. Would you have some minutes to spare?